You know another fun AI one that you can mess with? There's one called Sona AI, and it's literally like a perfect music generator. Like you can put in whatever lyrics you want, or you can give it like a prompt of like lyrics, and it's actually good.
Oh, they did that. That might be the one they used for the
cream in, cream out.
Yeah. Did you see that at all? They did like a Fiverr thing where they had someone like go online and make a logo of me, and it was obviously based off Creamy Moses. Because why the fuck not?
We did it while we were drunk. So
what else? I don't know if people picked up on it. Everyone thinks you were high.
I think they think we're high all the
It's
time.
because whenever they see Harry,
high is the
they're
baseline.
Like, Harry is just high all the time. But whoever's with him has to be under the influence as well.
Mac made some like random lyrics out of like the slogan, which was "cream in, cream out," and he did it to like a Kanye song. I don't even know. It's like "Get In, Get Out" or something.
Something like that.
Sounds good to me.
And like someone like made it in an AI, and it was like Kanye's voice rapping the lyrics to "Cream In, Cream Out" that Mac made, and I was just like sat there. I was like, this is fucking.
But you
mental.
didn't give it the bars. I had to do it for you.
If you had let me go a second time, I think I would have nailed it. The first time,
deer in the headlights.
Look at me, Chad. I'm not exactly a rapper.
But you've been up to some things last night.
Last night was some things. Yeah, last night was some things.
Is that the most ridiculous thing you've done when recording a skip?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you show the picture?
Yeah, you showed the picture.
You guys, I don't think you saw the ones in the bathtub. So like the bathtub part was even fucking crazier. Which was like I was literally.
What will the people watching think that we're talking about until the skit comes out?
Well, they gotta wait till the weekend. So.
Like that, I was.
Oh my god! What the fuck?
Because we were trying to find the right. Yeah, I know. We were talking to him. We had to find like the right angle in the bathtub for the shot. So I ended up being just sat in this fucking bathtub for an hour and a half while all the cameramen were figuring out angles, hanging up sheets, changing lighting, and this bathtub had like a mixture of like they had to make obviously for the scene they have to make the water as black and dark and gross as possible. So it was like 6 or 7 different colored bath bombs in there. They threw in like decaffeinated instant coffee because I would probably die if it was caffeinated.
Yeah, apparently that's a big deal.
Yeah, like it absorbs.
Yeah, because it absorbs
really
you or like just dead.
And then like this like German like body mud scrub like for like skin. But I was just sat in it for like an hour and a half, just being like, great, this is fun.
I saw you afterwards, and you did seem kind of out of it.
I think I was actually a little high from all like the various from everything.
All the chemicals in your body.
You played a big part in this same skit. Did you know what you were doing?
He showed me the part that I'm doing and like told me the whole thing. So I mean, it looks cool to me.
I saw a picture of you edited. It looked fucking awesome.
Sick.
Yeah, you look sweet.
Because we get these like they show us cuts of these things as they're getting edited, right?
Yeah.
So we get to see how it comes together. Like we did, they released Fight Club Part 1 last night. During your game, so you wouldn't have seen it. But like the way I was like, I don't know how this is going to turn out. But we've got Tom Newman there who he's making us do like 100 takes of everything. So they're getting all the right
He's
shots.
a fucking psychopath.
It's fucking crazy.
All right, boys, one more for safety. 1 hour later.
All I had to do for one of the scenes was like walk up and look at Hugo. And I fucking did it like 15 times. I was like, for fuck's sake, how many times do I have to record this?
Well, the mental one was, and it turned out great. Your face is fucking unreal when you yell out stop.
Yeah.
But we were yelling there for like, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour. Like us behind are like hyping it up just so that like they can combine it all. That it looks good, but yeah, it was fun.
How do you feel about being in stuff like that?
I think it's fun as long as it doesn't like take too long, so it doesn't affect like practice days. But I think they're fun to do.
Yeah, that's the thing. Right?
You had to get a decent amount of makeup for that too.
Yeah, that's
Did
like
you get the whole eyebrow glue?
Yeah, she
treatment?
put like glue.
Yeah,
and, like, it took like an hour, I think.
Yeah,
and I had to do it like in between other teams. Like other teams would like come in and they had to like take the makeup later because there's only one.
That's right.
I'm like, hey guys,
I came and spoke to you briefly while you were getting the makeup. Yeah.
It's when you look over and she's just got like a scraper and she's just digging into a glue stick and you're just like, holy fuck, what am I doing?
Well, look, she's making her money's worth on that day because I haven't gotten makeup a single time we've been on air.
I think they brought in a new makeup person just for this skit.
Oh, yeah?
I think the normal makeup lady they have for us doesn't know how to do that.
Yeah, okay.
They just do powder anyway. It takes like 30 seconds to get makeup.
I don't want the full stuff.
No. We don't do that. We don't do that here. It's just a little bit for the shine.
I haven't even done makeup once here.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, your skin's like perfect, so you don't really need it.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah. What do you do? Jeez, I need your routine after this.
You just need 4 or 5 German bath bombs, decaf instant
Actually, that's a good point. After last night, my skin better look fucking perfect.
Yeah,
Jesus.
But I will warn you the same as I warned Stown. My dishwasher is on. It will probably beep. It'll probably be about 45 minutes from now.
We forgot the timestamp last time.
Yeah, but people found it.
People did find it, yeah.
And we are recording. I didn't say we were recording, but we've been recording for about 5 minutes now. In case anybody
I figure as much. I know your plays.
Entry.
I know your games.
Yeah. No, but John gets it. You know, he's a podcast guy. He gets these things. We're talking about AI. You got any AI in your life that you use for anything?
I ask ChatGPT random questions that I need help with sometimes.
See what that has to say.
Wait, really? Like what?
Just whenever I'm having tech issues, honestly.
Okay.
So just tech issues, it's actually really good. It helps a lot. But for anything normal, nah.
Yeah.
The Sona AI actually made like some songs. There's like some good songs on it. So it's just fun.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Casey to integrate fucking AI into Refrag somehow, and you're like, we're playing against these like next gen
AI donk running around the map.
Yeah, like on the screen right now.
I mean, we have smart mode already, so that's something.
What's smart mode?
It's just when you load in, like you have like an elo. It's just like elo based. It's not really AI, but
it's like the competitive thing, right? Or what? No, competitive's different. Because I played.
I think it's when you're in like a crossfire, right? And like if you get killed like a certain number of times in a row, it lowers your elo, so the bots get easier. And then if you do better and better, it raises, and then they get harder and harder.
I just get sad and just turn into the prac mode.
Dude, crossfire is actually really fun and hard in that mode.
It gets hard.
Yeah, dude,
it gets hard
crazy.
quick.
Some of the defenders that you're doing, and like the flashes are coming in and shit. Like my old man eyes can't keep up with that, bro. I don't even see the fucking flashes coming.
But it's actually sick. Like the tools you have that you can improve. Do you guys use it as a team or just individually?
We use it individually. Everyone likes different parts of it. Like Ricky likes using the defender mode. He likes blitz. Like just different people like different stuff, but we mainly use like the nader and scrim functions the most. I'm
surprised that more people, like more top teams, because I talk to teams about features all the time, or are they using this? Are they using Skybox Edge? And so many teams are like, I can't believe you guys aren't using Refrag individually, like for prac stuff, because like that we joke about it, but that round you had on Vertigo, I forgot which event it was, but you had that round on Vertigo.
Was that the major?
Yeah, and you were fighting those guys coming up a ramp, and it was like, that is a clip from fucking Refrag.
Yeah,
it's fucking nuts.
Like one of the spray things looks very similar to that.
But that's wild, right? Like the fact that you're able to be in the lab and practice that type of shit.
Yeah, I think it's sick. I mean, obviously I'm biased, but I think that there's so much good stuff like on it that is. I don't know. Even for the scrim functions, it's just like clearly better if you have a scrim server, you have like individual stuff, and it's just all with it. Because sometimes like we have two coaches. Like if teams have two coaches, sometimes I've like joined scrim servers and like there's not enough slots for everyone. And it's like, come on, there's so much stuff.
You can take executes from demos and
you could. I don't know if you can.
Not
now.
in CS2. We didn't.
Not
remake
CS2.
it.
Okay.
Oh, you didn't remake it.
I thought that was sick as well.
Wasn't a popular enough feature?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, because we used it on broadcast when we had like Pimp in last season or whatever, and I thought it was fun to show people like how difficult it
like here are the idiot casters playing against a full VP.
And then of course they like do it 3 times before we go live, and then they just know where people are coming on the pre-spray. So, bro, that's not the point. Like, you need to sit down and first time you face this, like. Yeah, you just play. You don't know what's gonna happen. It's like no, you know exactly where the nades are falling. Like that's not how it works.
No, but just because like the thing is, Casey when he was booting up this thing, he was in talks with me to kind of do what Pimp was doing, and I was down. But I think Pimp like obviously was streaming and shit, so I had nothing. Like I didn't have any kind of personal brand to do that. So I'm a little bit pissed off at Casey to be completely honest. But I still think Refrag is such a good product that's the problem with me.
I know. You still pimp it out.
If I have a personal vendetta, but I think it's good, I'm gonna say it's good. I think it's fucking sick. Yeah. Like I keep shilling it to
it's
everybody.
Fun. It's fun to just like play single player Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
Like it's just like I don't want to go and I don't have maybe like I only have 20 minutes. I'm just gonna hop in Crossfire. Like
I think also we're boomers here, right? Like when we were playing, I mean, even when John started playing, like you didn't have anything like that available to you. It was just you didn't even have aimbots at the time, right? Like it was just death matching and
or hopping a 32-man Dust 2 public server.
Yeah, and in Chengdu we were doing these things with players for media day. What's your warm up routine and this and that. And I was expecting, I because everyone says for the game, it really is just aimbots, right? Because there's not much you can do. But I was like, then asking them outside of that, what's your practice regime? And I was expecting like so much more. And it was literally just DM, like that's pretty much it. Whatever. Like, well, you have so many tools at your disposal. Why not?
You have a pretty structured warm up routine before matches in practice, right? Like you have like a set 4 things you do for X amount of minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I usually just try to get through like my aim trainer routine. So whatever like playlist I have, I like to like, get through it. I like to always like get like some refrag in of like the spray ones that I like and like blitz.
Yeah.
And after that, I mean, we pretty much always have time for whatever aimbots things that we want to do before the match. But I like getting that stuff done before we even like leave like the prac room PCs. So it's been nice that like we've adjusted like our practice schedule to make sure like before like match days that we have enough time for warm up stuff. sometimes like I felt like on Liquid at the end that like I didn't have enough time to like even like do my individual stuff.
Yeah.
What's your guys' approach on match day when it comes to practice? Like, let's say yesterday you played the last game.
Yeah.
How many maps would you try and get in?
Like scrims, you're saying?
Yeah, is it just like one map just so to get the comms flowing, or is it actually trying to get a couple?
It's funny because it's really different. I feel like we're always like trying to figure out what's best. Even we've done it so many times like on Liquid. I remember of like, you know, should we scrim before match day? Like when should we scrim? When should we not scrim? We didn't scrim this time, and I think that it's actually helpful. So like what we did instead, which we usually do before every game, is we go over prep for like an hour and a half. And then afterwards, we have individual time. So we always have to be done at whatever X time for the schedule. So we did like an hour and a half of prep. We had like 45 minutes or an hour of like individual time. And because it went 3 maps, it kind of went a little late. And I think we actually went a little bit cold into the match against Na'Vi. And I talked about that after the game. I was like, well, I think that we played really well in the second and third map, but we started off really like ice cold, where I felt like our comms weren't good enough. And we were making situations like harder than it needed to be. So like my suggestion for that was not necessarily that we need a scrim, because having a scrim is kind of just random. It just depends on like your schedule. Because if you have like the 11 a.m. game or something like that, you just can't scrim. Yeah. But just like re-going over like the game plan and being like, hey, like we're gonna do this, and just making sure that we're like talking about it again, like right before we start. So just anything that we can do to really get the talks going.
Yeah, I think it's hard to make that scrim map productive, because if you want to try things you're going to do against this team in a game where you can't really force that, you know what the opponents are going to be doing, then you might just end up getting frustrated because you can't find good opponents, right? You can't find good opponents and you're frustrated because you're playing against, someone who's just running around. You're not really achieving much. Okay, then you want to focus on maybe just the communication. Just make sure everyone's awake, aware that we're talking. Score doesn't matter, all of that doesn't matter. But then also what can happen is, you might be getting like kind of wrecked just in aim duels or whatever. Yeah. Then your players, their confidence might like dip a little bit. Holy shit, like I'm going into a game, I like got wrecked on ramp nuke. This guy was just owning me. Like, sure, on the other side of things, you could beat someone, whatever the score is now,
23-1
to 6, or 23-1, whatever. Yeah. And you might be feeling like a god, right? And you come in and you're like, just wreck everyone. But it's hard to make it like super productive.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that actually, because we usually don't, because of that exact reason. And the day before, we were practicing Anubis for Na'Vi, and we had like a set game plan of like stuff that we wanted to try and like the timings that like we wanted to hit. And then we're just playing like this team that just owned us like 10-2, and they're just like pushing us like at the exact timing that we wanted to like start doing stuff, because we know like how Na'Vi was gonna start playing, and they were just owning us, and we were just like. After the first half, I'm like, guys, it's okay. It's okay. They were just pushing a bunch of times. It's not going to be like this in the match. So if that was on match day, like that could have been like really frustrating. So it's always like a delicate balance of like what's best for the players.
That's just like, I remember when we would practice some things back in the day, it'd be like, all right, we're going to do these executes. And you're like halfway through a half and the team's just adapted to your execute, and you want to keep trying to practice the execute, but they're just hard countering it. So it's like, well, what's the fucking point of even running this? Like they know exactly what's coming. Yeah. It's the tough thing with like a prac. And there's some teams out there as well. Like if you're versing a team that's worse than you guys, they might be out there to win the scrim. Yeah. Right? That's because they can take confidence from that. Yeah. Like that can happen when you have a bit of a disparity in those stuff. And that's why I know that teams in the past everyone has this convo of, oh yeah, but what about academy teams? You can prac against them and you get them to do what you want. It's like, well, it's not the same then, is it? Yeah. Like, so
also if you get beat by an academy team in that scrim, then you're feeling like real shit.
Oh shit, yeah. Well, if you just do what NIP did, made the entire team an academy. No, it's all right now. Apparently they're getting Isaac. Right, apparently, and Rez will be back. So Isaac for Blue Phoenix is actually pretty good. I like that. I think Isaac's good. I think he's a good in the positions he plays. I think he's a good player.
Yeah, Maxter,
solid. Yeah. Wrinkle was fun to watch.
Wrinkle's great.
Yeah,
Wrinkle's
very
loud. Yeah. I think the thing is, the problem now that Nork is quote unquote available, right? You'd think, oh shit, they could have gone back.
If they knew, they could have just done it. Yeah, that's true.
But now it's like, well, Wrinkle's like, I'd stick with Wrinkle. Like he could be a basketball player if you need him to be.
To be honest, like with the he had multiple offers. So who knows? Maybe NIP is thinking if they can really get like Knock for free or whatever. I mean, they could still. Transfer Wrinkle to someone if they want to go full Swedish.
But didn't Nork just sign like a deal extension?
Yeah, but their whole team is transfer listed, so that's not going to be he's not going to be inexpensive. I think actually, Kassad should
try and get him.
He should get him and Jacob because he really likes Jacob, and Jacob is pretty good.
Yeah.
And probably, I don't know, instead of who though, Cypher could be the only one because they play the same
similar
role.
roles. Yeah, for sure. That's a good point. You had extenuating, just to dip around because we'll go here, there, and everywhere. Yesterday you had extenuating circumstances in that best of 3 because Grim was fucking sick. You had a bucket next to him on stage.
Yeah.
He literally had a red bucket next to him.
He asked 3 times for that bucket. He's really wanted to make sure. I felt bad for him. He was feeling terrible. Got to the prac room and I saw electrolytes on his desk and I think a gut health thing. So we were just trying everything to make sure that we were good for the game. I was like, man, really? Like the day of like we're playing against Navi, like Grim was having food poisoning, and I think Johnny had like a bad headache that like he was having for like hours. So I was like, man, of course we're just getting unlucky. Where just physically everyone's feeling bad, but he was playing super well. Like Mike.
Yeah, get him sick really before every big game, apparently.
John, you're more serious than most players, right? More professional. You take care of yourself, of your body as well.
Yeah, what are these?
Like, how do these players get sick all the time? I don't understand, man. It doesn't take a lot. Like, just walk outside for 30 minutes. Get yourself like some fucking multivitamin mix, like the pills, right, to help with your immunity. No joke, right? Like that's all you need to do. And
I agree.
Just eat like half healthy. You don't need to eat full healthy. Just don't eat shit. You need some nutrients in your body.
Weren't you sick for like 4 days last week?
I'm not a fucking professional player, and I was still on the broadcast. Jason, I fucking delivered. I didn't take any days off, but. Yeah, and I got infected by Chad, but never mind.
I don't know who I got infected by.
You were patient 0.
How can I be patient 0?
We get to the Copenhagen major and fucking Zygo is sick. The best player in the world at the time, let's say, in the group stages, will Vitality make it because he's fucking ill the whole time? Like how? You have one job.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's just unlucky. Like food poisoning, there's actually just nothing. You can't do anything about that. But getting like sick, sometimes is actually just unlucky because we're all sharing like the same stuff. So it just takes like one person to come with like some sickness thing.
And you've been on an airplane with who knows what from who knows where.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the main thing is just like the sleep, like just not getting enough sleep from travel. That's what I'm always worried about. Whenever I'm traveling, now I always try to make sure I get business as much as I can just to sleep.
Yeah.
But if you're having like short flights in Europe, I feel like that's just unlucky most of the time.
That's the shit that fucks me. When I do like a short 2 to 3 hour flight and maybe it's like an early one and I fall asleep on the plane, and because I'm a bit old now, I wake up and I just like my neck strained or some shit, and then I'm like, I'm fucked. It's over.
It's over.
It's over. Well, because you're not just fixing the neck strain. It doesn't just go away. You don't just like rub
like
your
a 2-day affair.
Like, for fuck's sake, man. And it's like, but the thing is, what are you meant to do? Like, I guess.
Mate, get a massage at the hotel. The massage at the hotel is
That's what I did in Chengdu. I had a massage as soon as I landed, like got checked in, did all that kind of stuff, had a massage to like, and then because the thing is, I went on a long haul, and for the first time on a long haul flight, I didn't fucking sleep because I was sitting next to Russ, like, because he was leaving from here. Right, so me, Alex, Russ, all in the same like way. Yeah. And thank God I sat next to him because that was a fucking horrid flight. There was no aircon. It was fucking bullshit.
What the?
That sucks.
We just spoke the whole
Szechuan Airlines.
Szechuan Airlines.
Yeah, we just spoke literally.
Not known for their airlines, more so for the sauce.
I love it that the food comes up and he like, because he has like specific dietary requirements. Excuse me. So he's just like, I'll just have the bread. So he's just like just some poor kid from back in the 20s, just like eating. I was like, well, I actually like your strategy. It's safe. The bread's fucking safe. So water and bread for the 10-hour flight.
Yeah, but then you got to be like, can I have like 2 or 3 more pieces of bread, please?
But he was like me. We had some like protein bars and stuff. We thought about it. We went. We were going camping.
You can get like nice supplies, especially at the Istanbul airport. Like you can get a bunch of shit. That's
right, the Istanbul airport.
Some nuts,
tin of baklava.
Perfecto was a couple of seats in front of us. Alex was on the other side of the plane. We had it was an esports flight. On the way to China, but I had a massage once I got there, and then before I got on the flight to go, because Alex and I did the show match, and then who did was it Harry and Hugo?
Yeah.
Harry and Hugo did the final. So while the final was on, I went and had a massage, and I came back and the final was already over because it was that quick of a grand final. And then I got on the plane because I left that night. So I was like, I made sure that I was like all limbered up, but it actually helped. It was actually it's actually reasonable. It's
key.
So, yeah. I got a guy here if anyone needs. Right, he comes out of your house, $50 for an hour. Massage.
Oh, what does he do? Okay.
Yeah, massage, Janko. That's his specialty, but he might have some special tricks for you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Southpaw.
Are you doing any like nootropics or anything like that?
I do. I use the Gorilla Mind his gaming formula. I think it's actually really helpful. I mean, obviously the main thing is like the caffeine, but I feel like the little stuff helps. And as long as it feels like it helps, then it's good for me.
How long before do you take it?
So I'm actually making sure that I only take it at the halftime of the last game. Because I remember at the major, I took
halftime of the last game,
or of the game that we're waiting on is what I'm
saying. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay,
so the halftime of like the last map of the last game that we're waiting on. Because I remember at the major, I took it like as soon as I went down. And then I was already like...
A little jittery?
Yeah, I was already like feeling the caffeine was like going away. So then I took more and then I didn't have like enough food because it was like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So I think that it's really important to like time your caffeine well. So that's the main thing I'm focusing on.
I think it was Edward was telling me like there's one other like there's the caffeine in those things and there's like this one other like the L-alcanine. Yeah. And it's like supposed to like the caffeine like brings you up and the L-theanine like you know keeps you from being too jittery, keeps you level.
It sounds like a character from Lord of the Rings.
Bro, so I spoke about like this was last year, it was probably a year ago worth of podcast, and I remember we were doing and I said, oh yeah, you know, I take Alpha Brain, but it's probably a placebo. Like I started with that. I ran with that as like the opener. People lit me up in the comments, man. That is fucking idiot too.
Joe Rogan shill.
And I'm like, I said it's probably a placebo. I said I take it, and you know, I think it helps me, but I don't fucking know. Like, I think my recall, like my memory, is better when I take it, and when I'm casting, I can remember rounds that had happened from other events and stuff a bit easier, or I have a better vocabulary at the time. And whether it helps or not,
I could use that.
Like whether it's real or not, it feels like it helps me. So I'm like, well, then it's worth the value for the money,
100%,
because it makes
even if
me
it's a
feel
placebo,
certain way,
it
right?
just
And I don't think it. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, Jason.
No, I'm not either. I'm not even close.
That's why we should have brought Harry. He's a scientist.
Yeah, we should ask Harry. No, but I remember when we played you guys in Blast LA in the finals with FaZe, and Guardian took like, I think it was like
mushrooms,
2G fuels or some shit.
Holy shit!
And he didn't really eat properly before it. I've never seen a human being like like that. You know, it was so fat. He was twitchy and like, oh, I didn't know how I hit this shot or something like that. Like he was really, but he was like sweating profusely. He was like shaking. I'm like, Ladi, you okay? Like, you want me to like
call a doctor?
Find you some food or something at least? Like, no, I think I think he did the same. He took one, and then the game before went too long or something like that. So then he was like freaking out, and then just took one before the game, and that was way.
Just over
I did that too.
Overboard.
Literally, it was the same thing at the major. I took it too early, and I'm like, well, the game, now it's like delayed an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And now I got coffee, and then I felt jittery, and I'm like, okay, well, this is not ideal. But I think that stuff is really helpful. Like, why not? Like, if it doesn't hurt, and it's not like bad for you or anything, then I feel like you might as well just try whatever you need. So I mean, I tried that stuff, see if it helps, and I think it's been helpful.
Have you tried a bunch of different things over the years? Like, has it always been just like a caffeine dose?
No, I've been more serious about it in like the last year. I saw like Brian Johnson and all his stuff, so trying to like incorporate what I can, and then Derek from like More Plates, More Dates. I've been trying like his like gaming stuff, like whatever I think can help like memory and focus. That's obviously not against the rules that we can use. Like, I feel like you might as well.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Andrew Huberman drama?
I think it was funny. I think he handled it. He handled it perfectly. And at the end of the day, it's just like a upset ex. Like, who knows if what she's saying is even true, right? It's just people that are upset. Like, people lie all the time.
The memes that came out of that were so fucking funny. Like the people who were just like, see, like, look how fucking organized he is. He managed to have like he was dating 6 women at the same time.
I was like, this is better for protocols.
I know. Like, it's just another reason that you're just like, this guy's a fucking legend.
Fucking no. This is one I have no idea about, the Drake versus fucking Kendrick drama.
No idea.
I see people tweeting about it. I'm like, I'll listen to their music. I have no interest in whatever.
People are so invested. Dude, Launders put out a tweet, like, he's from Toronto, so he said something like about like Drake actually won.
Throaters, I think.
He's like, people are you like Kendrick throaters are always gonna believe like that side, but like he was getting fucking roasted in the comments. People were like, stick to fucking CS2. And it was just like, guys, it's rap drama.
Or you have guys like just commenting like on Twitter. Yeah, I think right now it's 4-1 for Kendrick, and props to it, but because he's not on the same level as like, oh, so you are as you said, like now rap music, like
you're a connoisseur.
Yeah, you know this as well. It's so crazy to me. I've never been into like that stuff or celebrities or these reality shows that you have like back home on TV. It's always like, why would I? Who cares about this? Why would I be watching? this thing. And then I was like, maybe I'm just being a hypocrite because sometimes, we all watch TV shows and all this. So what's the real difference between watching, I don't know, Suits or watching this thing?
It is just entertainment.
It's entertainment at the end of the day, but this feels like really though cheap like humor and cheap entertainment. I guess that this is more high quality entertainment.
I guess it's like a throwback to like the '90s East versus West Coast rap battles, right? Like there always used to be huge.
That makes it so much more lame, doesn't it? Like those were actually battles. These are like in the playground, kids are throwing slime at each other.
Slime.
Speaking of battles, I got to ask you a question, John. I need an answer to. I asked you in Katowice about the UMP. I need the answer now because you've been using it this event. Graham told me he's been seeing you in scrim sport the UMP, and you're just banging out headshots with bursts. So what's up with the UMP now?
Yeah, I don't know. I literally thought of that because I remembered our conversation. I'm like, I'm just gonna try. Let's just see how it goes. And then I just started owning with it. Like I just started like getting like 3Ks, 4Ks, like force buying. And I think that it's just, well, first of all, the spray control is just really, really easy. You literally just pull down and everything's going to go straight. So really easy recoil. And I think that like I don't know if it's a 2-bullet headshot, like really close range, but I feel like people just melt. Like if they have like head armor and you're forcing against like a Glil's AK, like a Hero AK, whatever, I feel like they die really, really fast. So maybe it's just like the armor pen. I didn't really like dig into the statistics of like why I think it's doing so well, but probably that.
Is it good like medium range, like bursting and stuff? Like is it?
Yeah, I mean, if I think I'm gonna rush, I feel like MP9 Mac 10 are better. But if I feel like I'm gonna have like a more like work the round type of round, then I'll use like an AMP.
Valve love that answer.
Yeah, they do.
Valve fucking love
they
that.
They do. They
They
just got really turned on. Yeah.
It's only $1,200, right?
Yeah.
It's fucking cheap as chips.
Yeah, I mean,
get more nades.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is like the MP9 is like technically like better because it like kills faster, but I don't know. The AMP has just been feeling good for some reason.
Well, there you go, Jason.
There we go. I got
How
my
do you
answer.
feel?
Yeah, I actually like that answer. That's
so when
good.
you get like an ace with an AMP and like win the tournament, you have to thank Jason for showing you the Virtus Pro line.
And Flit.
And Flit.
Yeah. Thank you, Flit.
But
mostly me.
Jason for lighting.
Mainly Jason.
Yeah, mainly
Mostly
Jason.
me.
Yeah, there you go. You happy with that?
I'm happy with that. Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, look, you guys have, we did the brackets last night. I think I did such a terrible job explaining it. I am going to do tomorrow on the show. After
Better
the first
job.
map,
You're going to redo the segment?
I'm going to do a bracket explainer redemption segment. Because I've been thinking about is all night how to explain it better, and I've got it. I even made a Reddit account to reply to somebody who was asking how the mechanism worked and explained it with a whole bunch of spelling mistakes. But
what do you mean you made a Reddit like a burner, or you
I
deleted your old account?
I don't have a Reddit account. I deleted it.
You deleted it.
Yeah. So I just made a new one just to reply to this guy, and I didn't even say it was me. I just put this post to the guy because he was like asking for the rule book, and the rule book doesn't say, right? But
how'd it go when you explain rules to somebody without the authority of having an official name?
That seems to line up with what happened on broadcast.
Cool.
Because
what was the issue? I only saw the start of it, and you were doing fine.
There's no issue. The thing is, I can explain it so well in 3 minutes with just 2 whiteboards. I'm going to do it like that with Harry and Hugo sitting there on the couch like the village idiots. And if I can make them understand...
They're very good at that.
If I can make them understand, everybody will understand. So I'm going to just, after the first map of G2 Big, because people are looking at the bracket. Thinking,
Hugo will just be offended why he's there.
Well, okay, I'll put someone else then. Oh, sorry, Jason.
It's okay. We're all talking. Yeah, just...
Yeah, that was my bad.
I got you. It's okay.
My bad. Yeah. But the way the bracket worked out, it's fucking obviously stacked in the lower half. But this is why okay, I want to say 2 things. First of all, the seeding shouldn't have been done at the fucking start.
Seeding is ass.
That was dog shit. That was terrible. But the second thing is, if the teams who were the favorites in their groups had won their matches or placed higher, right, then we wouldn't have necessarily such a disparity, but we definitely have much more stacked half of the bracket than the top half.
I don't see what the drama is about. Like, FaZe always goes through the lower bracket, right? G2 kind of fucked up as well, which worked in their favor.
Yeah, now they have that top bit, right? It's like them versus...
Big, then the winner plays 3D Max.
3D Max,
then it's Mouse.
Yeah.
But for FaZe, I mean, that's kind of how
it's a gauntlet.
Has to be.
I think it's sick, though. Murderer's Row, I'm calling it. That lower part, Murderer's Row.
Right. Who'd you guys draw up against? I can't remember.
Mongols are behind you, right?
Yeah, it's
Mongols
Gamer Legion versus VP.
Yeah, that's right.
And then VP
so you get
versus
Mongols or VP.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing there is, because if it's true about Isaac going to NIP, then Gamer Legion are like on their last hurrah. So that goes one of 2 ways. Yeah. Really well or really poorly, right? They're either like, all right, guys, let's just go out there and have a good...
One last hurrah.
But it's a new team with Andu and Slend anyway, so it'll be a mixed bag. So I would expect VP to win that, right? And then Mongols versus VP I actually think is quite interesting of a series.
They could win, for sure.
And you said you won a revenge against Mongols from Atlanta.
Yeah, because we played horrible at Atlanta. We like gave away the bomb in like a ninja and stuff. It was just messy. It was messy.
But that's where you guys, like, it was like Sydney with like the top of the pops for you guys, obviously from that grand final, and then Atlanta was only like a couple weeks later or something.
No. Sydney was like 2 months beforehand. Yeah.
Okay, 2 months beforehand.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Atlanta was the last.
You guys didn't
Yeah.
have TC in Atlanta either.
Yeah, we didn't have him there.
Yeah.
I couldn't make it.
I think he had a personal thing that he had to attend to.
All right, sorry,
It's all
sorry,
right.
TC.
But yeah, just kind of
Putting on the
because
blast.
that was obviously like Chad pointed out. Sydney was high, and it was like
That's
probably
fucking sick. That
the
final.
showing of
That was sick.
this
Raw
lineup.
CS2.
Yeah.
It was really good. So after that, you guys took a dip in the next couple of tournaments. So what was kind of the reason for that? What went missing that you couldn't just not necessarily make the final every time, but maintain close to that level of performance?
Yeah, well, we played good at Blast Fall, so that was good from us. And then afterwards, that's where we didn't do well at Elisa or Atlanta. I think that was only 2 tournaments afterwards, and I think it's just the same reasons why we lost the finals against FaZe. It's just our floor is just so much lower than our ceiling. Where if we're not like everyone's like on point with like our comms being perfect, then we can just lose rounds that we shouldn't. And of course, every team loses rounds that they shouldn't, but we lose more than the other teams. I think before the Navi game, I think Graham showed that we had I think it was the worst 5v4 percentage of like the top 20. So something like that. So we're just like losing a lot more of like those advantages like on average than other teams. And that's something that like we're just gonna have to like keep working on. It's tough because I feel like a lot of that stuff is you kind of just have to make the mistakes yourself to work through it, because winning man advantages is a skill. Like to actually do that, like it is a skill.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I talked about exactly that on one of the casts.
It was this you talking about power play being a 2-man advantage.
Yeah, that, and also like that for you guys, the floor is kind of lower than it should be, and it's also interesting because ceiling depends on the individual skill of the players, right? Like that limits your ceiling, but you can actually raise your floor no matter the players that you have to some extent through whether you want to call it protocols or just, practice, discipline, right? Good coaching and whatever it is. So that's kind of weird to see that you guys don't have a higher floor. Do you think maybe it's a lack of protocols? Like there's too much left to be like free flowing, and then it depends on the players like mood on the day, or maybe someone has bad energy and then it can't be up to the same level. Like that maybe if you had just like, let's say you're losing a lot of rounds with advantages, and if you had just a couple of protocols, couple of keywords, if you're in a 5v3 and you just want to say, okay, we'll send one guy to scout and then others will wait to react, and that will be called, let's do the chimney, right? That could maybe be helpful with some of that stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Honestly, we're still always trying to like diagnose it, but we try to like do as much like protocols as we can. Sometimes I feel like it's just nerves of like just like the game or like the players, and we're like trying to think of like what to do, or like we're in like the discussion, and like we just get like peaked where we're like unfocused. We like to call it IGL brain. Sometimes like when like someone's like
trying to coordinate a region too much,
and then like now we lost the advantage and like the round like kind of falls apart. But I don't know. I feel like it's really hard because a lot of these situations, some of them are like really different, like where they're in like different categories, and you only really like can get exposed to we're not good at this type of situation like when it happens. So I don't know. I think it's kind of hard to like have like a one size fits all, because there's just so many situations that happen in Counter-Strike, and honestly, experience is the biggest thing that will help you like figure those things out of what you need to focus on.
I think that's kind of like when you're talking about that, I'm sitting there and thinking about JT as the in-game leader of your team, right? And for him, each time that you guys are progressing or making it deeper, for him as an in-game leader, that's not like a first, but they're like all like notches on that learning curve of being an in-game leader. Like he's not a hugely experienced in-game, especially at the upper echelons of Counter-Strike, which is where you guys are now / pushing into with these playoff performances, right? So for him, and also to be from South Africa, right? Like that's like being from Australia and having to do that type of shit. It's completely like different part of the world. So it's just curious seeing what these protocols and everything they're talking about. He's like learning on the job, same as TC all the time. So is there a point where you feel like you're going to build to a critical mass of like, okay, this is where we need to now be converting or getting into more finals or whatever, or otherwise things have to, because you eventually hit a roadblock, right?
Yeah, that's something that like we talked about this year, because obviously we felt really bad that we felt like we were on the up and up. We came into CS2 like swinging hard, and then like it's actually just been like a steady downfall. Like not only have we not been making playoffs, or we haven't been making like semis and like quarters or whatever, we just haven't even been getting out of the playoffs. This is the first like playoffs we've made this whole year. So yeah, we've kind of been like at that point where it's like, okay, we need like something to show. Like we need to get better at this point. And I'm happy that we finally did get better at this point. I think that we've shown like a lot of like good stuff. And I think that JT has been doing a super good job. I think like our coaching staff has been doing really good. I think that this year has been more of like, what should we focus on? And we've said that like in interviews like here and there about like, maybe we haven't been focusing on like on the right stuff. Like maybe we're trying too much stuff in terms of like too many plays on like CT side or T side, and we're not focusing enough on like fundamentals and like getting into like rounds where we're cementing those in. So that was like a discussion that we had this year. And now for the last couple weeks while we were on this break, we were more talking about like our individual form. So that was like another like point that we were talking about. But I actually think that we've been doing a really good job in terms of like our T side protocols. It's more always been about our CT side. And I think that's like a whole thing with like NA is like NA has really good T sides, even with M80. T side's really good, CT side's not so good. And I feel like that's very obvious for why it is, because CT side is where like your individual decision making comes out the most from like a team play standpoint. And the IGL can't really like control that. Like a lot of like some of the times it's just going to be the individual's decision making on that round. So it's like a process of like working through that.
Yeah, by nature, you're reacting to what the other team's doing more on the CT side.
Yeah, I mean, we can play like really proactive. Like in when I first joined the team, I brought a lot of like really proactive stuff that we can do on CT side. But the thing is you can't always play that style. If you're always playing proactive, you're always playing like, okay, we lost this, okay, immediately repush, then obviously that's easy. Yeah. That's easy for like people to counter. So you have to be very well versed in like a lot of different like styles of the round.
Yeah. That's the thing with Counter-Strike right now. You need to have such a complete game. You can't just come in and like win with just being a momentum-based
Yeah, the top teams have gotten deep.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like all styles now. Back in the day, you have some that were more, or even periods of Counter-Strike. You go back to 1.6. You look at some were like more individually or default based, some were more like strat heavy based and just running. And then going from game to game, that's the thing I love as well, is you can play a team in one time and then you rematch them in the same tournament and they just completely change that style. They went from very default heavy to them just being like what Astralis did in Chengdu with all the nuke executes that they were like running against. I think it was against FaZe. They're running like so many like nuke executes for the top side, and it worked early, but then they kept trying to do it, and I think they adjusted to it. And that's even within the case of MR12 in one map of CS, which I guess, how do you feel about MR12?
I still think they need to like fix the economy, but I don't know when they're ever going to do that. I just think I think the economy is not good enough. Pistol rounds are way too important. Being able to double eco in MR12 is completely silly. I just hope that they fix it at some point in the next 3 years.
Okay. What would be your change?
I think I would do like a very soft, small change that Valve likes to do. Minimum loss bonus 1900.
For both sides?
For both sides, yeah.
Okay. There was one thing. What was it we discussed with them when we were at the major? Because we discussed the idea of that we
talked about the economy.
You wouldn't get reset down to 1400 until you had lost your first round. So like your first round loss, no matter when it came, would be 1900 instead of 1400. So like the problem now,
pistol doesn't count, right?
Well, so let's like go.
Like
through
if you lose the pistol, you get 1900 now.
Yeah.
And then the next round you lose, you would also get 1900.
No. Like so, for
After
example,
you win.
So let's say you're T side, I'm CT side.
Okay.
I win the pistol. You get the bomb down. You force buy. You have a pretty good chance of winning. You win. Now me as CT, I'm down to 1400 loss. So for me, it's fucked. So instead of me going down after that round loss, it would be 1900. Same as what the T's had when they lost.
Excuse me, Chad?
Yeah.
I'm gonna fuck with you again.
Fuck, I forgot about it.
It's all right.
I've been on it a bit.
Yeah, you have been. You've been doing good. I know. It's when you get excited and passionate.
Yeah. It's just so once the CTs win the pistol, their loss bonus doesn't go down to 1400 once they've won it. Their loss bonus would stay at 1900 until they lose that first round, and there'll be 1900 loss first. So to get all the way down to 1400, you'd actually have to win a spree of rounds to get down to 1400.
I get you.
I know it's still not great for a CT buy of 1900.
I was thinking maybe we could like combo it with like a FAMAS buff. put like the minimum or put the buy price for it at like 2K or something.
This is why if they just made burst fire like a fucking laser, right? Like it was in Source or 1.6, then you would use it at range.
Yeah.
And then if you force buy it on the second up against Galil's and what have been bought,
there was something incredibly satisfying about that burst.
It was fucking
Yeah.
sick.
I asked Valve at some point, not at the major, I think before that, maybe when we were in Seattle, I asked them about the FAMAS burst fire. I'm trying to remember what they said. They had a legit reason why they didn't want to buff the FAMAS burst fire, or why they didn't think it was necessary. I'm trying to remember exactly what it
Get
was.
him on the phone, Jason.
Yeah, I'll call him up.
Work it out.
I had something last night that pertains to this discussion.
You and Harry.
I sat at the bar with Yanko.
He wrote it down.
I made a note to make sure I didn't forget.
Shit.
Now, okay,
You've never made a note for the podcast before.
Yeah.
I need all of you to have an open mind on this because I was on my third old fashioned at the time that this thought came to me, and I haven't even played with it in my head. It just kind of came, and I was like, this could maybe spark an interesting discussion.
To like draw out the idea.
No. All right, let me get back into the mind state that I was in last night.
Just some caffeine, rub it on your skin.
Yeah, that might have been the bath bombs making this thought happen. The bonus, what if is the bonus money for T's for planting the bomb, since it gives such an advantage in the economy right now and CT side is so difficult, does it create more of an incentive to fight for the bomb sites and prevent the bomb plant enough that prevents more retaking philosophy and saving? Like, is that
pistols or are we talking
just
overall?
in general on the T side, that bomb plant can be so valuable when CTs have like a rough economy. But is there like an incentive when you're playing? Do you guys like have like saying like we kind of need to stop the bomb plant now? Is like the CT side economy so hard to handle that you're like, don't give them that extra 800?
We've mainly talked about it on pistol round. Because, if you're in like a 4v2 and like you give them the bomb plant, it's still actually pretty bad. Because they can just win next round.
But is there like a universe where that advantage that the bomb plant gives the T side prevents CTs from playing as much for saving the way it did at the end of CSGO? Remember how like we got into that save meta and retake meta? Like is that enough of an incentive to kind of prevent that philosophy? Because that more than anything I think made Counter-Strike stale and boring towards the end.
There's less saving now.
Yeah.
Because there's less rounds. And I feel like in general there is a little bit less saving at the moment.
Yeah.
I think, but I don't.
I don't know if that's why. That was my thought, and I've never played with it, but.
Well, I think a little bit of the effect is the fact that it's MR12, but though it's like less rounds to save, but you understand, you're going for a little bit more of these rounds, the 3v3s.
Yeah, you have
right?
to.
Because you're like, in MR15, you would be like, okay, I will have a lot of rounds to play with. Let's just make sure we have the guns. And I'm like, well, the next round, I might not have a better situation than this one, right? So I think that's like...
So more the rounds in the economy than the.
I think so. Yeah. That's probably why we're seeing this like people go for it more. Yeah, just because less rounds.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy about that because when it was fucking announced and we were on this podcast, I was here saying exactly that. There's going to be less saving because there's going to be less rounds to play with.
A lot of indications.
And people were out there fucking eviscerating me and saying, oh no, right because of that, there's going to be even more saving because every round, man, there's so much more.
Whose accent is that?
I don't know.
That's
a random Redditor accent.
It's a fucking redneck.
Okay. The Americans just copping it all over the place. Bloody
I don't know.
hell.
I can't do accents except for my own.
There's got to be Serbian
Constantly
rednecks.
Can I derail for a second?
There is.
Yeah, derail.
Is that a whoop?
It is a whoop.
Is it for tracking your sleep and stuff? Or do you use it for exercise too?
I mean, I use it for sleep, or for exercise, but it's mainly for sleep. So I thought it was better than the Oura Ring, and I really like the vibrate to wake up.
Sure.
So I use the alarm, and it like wakes me up like very peacefully now.
Okay, I wanna let. Do you guys know much about whoops?
No.
I don't even know. I've never even heard that word in my life.
Oh, okay.
It's like an Oura Ring.
Yeah.
So but on that, there's a whole app and stuff, right? So you track like all of your output and everything in terms of exercise, and you need to kind of put in there what you were doing.
Yep.
And one of the things that it wants you to track is banging. You tracking that?
I don't want Whoop to know when.
All right, he doesn't want to give
my
that data.
banging schedule.
Who wants?
But no, it's actual
Keep
thing.
that shit on the download,
Like,
Chad.
Wait, what?
It has a lot of stuff. Yeah.
What do they give you about banging? Like what information? Like what do they say?
A+. Fucking...
It's pretty much just like
9 minutes today. That's your new record.
it's like a journal pretty much of like how like whatever you did that day and if it was beneficial for you or if it was like negative for you. So like after like a long time you have like, okay, is caffeine good for you? Is like traveling on an airplane like bad for you? Is taking this supplement actually helping you? that type of stuff.
Does it track your insulin or no?
No.
I know that was like a big deal. Like it became a big thing recently where people are wearing those. Like, you just wear it's like the bracelet,
the glucose monitor thing.
Yes.
I just couldn't get in.
It's all about that kind of like what raises it, lowers it, your metabolism, all that shit. But
yeah,
I've looked into the Oura Ring and I've wanted the Oura Ring at various points, but I don't like wearing shit when I go to sleep.
Yeah, but this is fine.
Yeah.
This is you wouldn't
it's actually
notice.
not bad.
It's like a watch, bro.
And kind of like how
I don't
they
like
have
wearing
it
a
set
watch
up.
when I sleep either.
It's better than a watch because I had the Apple Watch because I wanted to start tracking my sleep and
Yeah.
I didn't like having the Apple Watch on my wrist at all. But this is it's not bad, and they have it set up so like the charger, like you never have to take off the Whoop band except for like showering if you want, but you don't even have to do that.
Okay.
What sleep rating did you get last night?
I got a 92.
Fuck yeah.
Normally I'm getting higher than that.
Really?
Like you should be like 100 as much as possible. That's why I got it because I think it does a really good job at being like, okay, I didn't get enough sleep or maybe I had more strain than usual. That's like how it like measures like your stress or like how much activity you've had. And it'll be like, okay, this night you need 9 hours or this night you need 8 hours and 40 minutes. So I use it for that because it tells me when I should be going to sleep. Which I think it's been really helpful with.
I don't like that.
You had a 92 and you weren't happy with a 92. This man's looking for
That's
fucking
EliGE, man, I'm
perfection.
telling you, yeah,
He's looking for perfection.
Construction workers, man. Somehow above our room, there's construction
oh
workers.
yeah, of course.
Mate,
They're building the whole another building across the street.
This is the country of fucking cranes. There are cranes everywhere.
Yeah,
They're
the skyline
building
is just
something
all
the
cranes.
time.
Yeah.
Just on the up and up.
Wow, that's the thing.
Developing.
Can we take a look at my? Well, we can't really.
They've
see
been
it.
here since the 90s. You know. Those cranes.
Yeah, that's true. It takes so long here to do anything, and because a lot of the streets are small, they all get closed down. Like there's just it's fucking chaos out there on the streets, man. It's fucking wild. The weather's looking up though. 23 degrees today.
Yeah, it's
a
good.
beautiful
Outside,
day.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was out.
You see Hausek's tan?
Yeah, I
That's
saw
so
that
fun.
hardcore watch down. That was
He
gross.
was like a construction worker. That's what you get for when I was a tradie, you'd rock up with watch tans like that because you're fucking outside grinding,
Digging
all the
holes.
time. Yeah, digging holes. It's been a while for that. Yeah.
What's going on with your team? One of the biggest things that always strikes me watching you guys from tournament to tournament is like there's no consistency. Maybe not no consistency, but after you, there's like Grim has his tournament where he's awesome, and then he drops, and then Floppy's up instead, and then he drops, and then Holzerk's up instead, and then sometimes it's JT. Like, what's up with the individual inconsistencies?
They got some emo boys on the team, man.
Yeah, that's what
Grim's
we're gonna chalk it up to.
Grim's an
Just
emo
emo.
boy.
Yeah, good point.
I think that the team's a little bit introverted. Like I think all of us would probably self-describe as introverted.
Floppy's funny.
Yeah, Floppy is funny.
He's a funny.
But he is introverted funny. He
Yeah.
is,
Yeah, so I think just probably just more like self-confidence in terms of like I want to like be like the guy. So if we had more of like that vibe, I think that we'd probably see it a little bit more. But no one's really like having that like I am the guy type. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that type of like mentality for it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to like think of like the best ways that we can like bring out like the best like in everyone in terms of like getting people like more like setting like everyone up like more for plays a little bit more. So that's been like more at my forefront of like, okay, how can we get like Holzerk more like involved and being more active with his op? Because I've always like thought of Holzerk as like a brokey opper, where he like likes to get into the action. I feel like he's not like his strong suit is not like passive opper, like
Holding the angle, yeah.
I feel like he needs to like get into the action, but he's also quieter. So like he's not like thinking
of his
like,
own
at
plays.
the forefront of like going like super hard for those plays.
Doesn't he overcook the pooch on some of those plays sometimes? So that would be my biggest criticism. Like, because when he's on a heater, when Hauserk's having one of his games, like 95% of the time it's work. Well, maybe not 95.
That's a lot.
75% of the time
better
it's
than
working,
John's
and
sleep
then he
score.
goes for that like overplay. So how do you balance that, right? Like in the sense that he might win you around because he's going to go for this peak and it ends up being like a crazy 3K, or he goes for it and he dies and he punches his leg. Like you just have to take the good with the bad.
I think that he's just too hard on himself. That's what I was telling him last night, actually, because we were watching the round where he like whiffed 5 shots in a row, and I'm just like, you're putting so much pressure on yourself, but they can't actually push you right now. So I think that you just need to like feel more like at ease, like in these situations, and not feel so pressure where it's like, oh, I missed, and oh, I missed again, because I feel like he's thinking about that he's like. That he's feeling bad about like him, messing up in these rounds.
Yeah.
So I think that's like his only like main downfall that I think, because I think his mechanics are really good. Like for example, that round where he was in A main and he's like holding the guy crossing into side. I don't know if you remember the round, but like he was on him, And after he missed that shot, he was like, man, I was like so frustrated after I missed that shot. I'm like, dude, if I missed that shot, I'd be like, man, this game sucks. Like I would just blame the game because to me, if the crosshair's on him, then it's on him. But like he like gets frustrated about it. Yeah, so I think it's just like more not being so harsh on yourself.
He's like that sniper in Saving Private Ryan up in the clock tower. At the end, takes that shot, starts getting pissed, stops praying, misses a second one, gets more pissed, stops praying, misses a third one, and the tank fucking blows him up.
So you're saying Halzard needs to find God?
Yeah, maybe.
Saying he's gonna get blown up.
What would you do if one of your teammates just started like praying as he's all like, just starts...
I would be like, this is sick. Like, this guy's about to go in.
Oh shit! Believing in, and he's praying to fucking one of the great opposites. Who could he pray to? Who's a retired great?
Markelov.
Yeah.
Markelov.
I thought you were gonna go the Norse mythology route there.
Yeah. Oh fuck! You get some
pray to
Odin.
Odin, yeah.
Yeah, Jesus Christ! We could have gone that angle. That would have been nice. Did you do any media today?
Yeah, sure. It was only an hour.
Yeah. Did you had to do the lobby yourselves?
Yeah, Floppy was the guy. He was just like, I'm gonna do the chat thing and look around for someone to interview. He did a good job.
Who did he interview?
He just did all of us. He just
okay.
had random questions for all of us that he could think of in the moment.
Nice, because that should be fun. Like we've kind of just let the patients run the asylum.
Did you did the trace thing as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you say for you?
I was kind of boring. I'm not as creative with that stuff, Jason. You know me, but Floppy was funny with it.
Yeah.
We're kind of thinking of like the Key and Peele version of that that video. It's like, do you know the thing that we did today with that?
It's like the NFL.
The NFL intros.
Ah, yeah, I know.
The Key and Peele
one,
skit was so funny. So like Halzerk and Floppy went that route, where me and JT kind of did the normal route, and same with Grim.
He should have done the normal route.
But that's all right because that's how they do it in the NFL thing. Like there's some players who just say, Ohio State University. And there's some guys who meme and say something crazy, So it's cool. It doesn't have to be everybody.
Apparently, Nertz put a wig on and goes.
No, Spinks.
Spinks
Nertz
put a wig on and goes.
for the playoffs,
That's
Jason.
right, my bad. Sorry, Nertz. Yeah, Spinks put that wig on and was just like, I'm Spinks. I'm from Mexico.
Yeah, right. We'll see how they turn out because Tracer's got quite the task on his hand, right? Because it's I think some people won't want to play ball at all, right? Yeah. And they're just like, what the fuck am I doing, right? Like, but I don't think you all have to have fun. I think even for a serious use case, I think it's great.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
It was a good idea.
For players who we don't know like how to pronounce their name all the time, I think as well is really cool. Obviously for the playoffs that doesn't play in the same way. I don't know if are they using it here or is it for Dallas?
It's for here, I think.
Okay,
I think here as well.
Yeah.
It's just going to be weird for casters because it's like that third round of like a... I mean, I guess that'd be fine if there's like just a save Glock or save USP.
They'll probably talk to us when it's going to happen, I imagine.
Yeah, it doesn't have to. It can happen in the first 5 rounds. Like, it doesn't have to be super quick.
Yeah. Look, we've been doing some fun stuff here. We don't.
This is the event to experiment.
Yeah, and just try out some more fun bits and bobs. It's been good.
Yeah.
There's the people. Some people love it. Some people hate it.
I've seen both of those on Reddit.
I will say the people who seem to hate it seem to be getting downvoted. The people who seem to love it seem to be doing all right.
Yeah.
So look, we can't please everybody, and we never will. We never will.
Yep.
But I think there's some people who see the rationale to what we're doing and a bit of the reason to it, and it's been fun, which I think is
what this event needed.
If we. This would be ideal. This would be my fucking dream. We do 2 weeks like this, with it's fun, and you guys are here for a little bit longer, and we have more access to you, and have these different conversations, and do
maybe a couple
like
break
the complexity
days.
thing I did with you on the PC with Floppy and stuff. We do some more fun things, or like whatever. Maybe some break days. But then the final week is a proper playoff event, like it was with Odense, right? Like that was fucking sick. Like have 3,000 to 4,000. Like that would be the dream because we could have the best of both worlds.
Yep.
At the moment, we're almost there. I don't know if we'll ever get there. I don't
no, but I mean, over the course of the last 3 seasons since we've kind of switched this up, there's obviously been positive steps.
Yeah, just
every
the playoffs
season.
is going to be harder for us to get because we're only going to have fans in there from Friday, Saturday, Sunday with the fans. So we'll see how it goes.
How's your time and complexity been so far?
I think it's been good. I think it's been like a good thing for me, 100%. I think it's been like a combination of like realizing what makes me like a good player and like how I can like bring the best out of that.
Yeah.
So I think it's been like super positive overall. I've been like happy like with the team and like, if you ask me like before this year started, I would be like, yeah, our progression's been really good, but obviously we're on a little bit of like a downturn up until like this tournament. Mm-hmm. But yeah, overall I think that we've been doing a really good job and like the players have like shown that they have a lot more to give.
Yeah.
Was there like with the merger? Oh, sorry.
No, it's all good.
The merger that happened. Did you get worried?
I wasn't really worried, but apparently it was a lot closer than I thought it was not going good. But yeah, I mean, I was like, well, I mean, surely he's not gonna, pick me up and then it's just all gonna fall apart, right? Right? Yeah. But I mean, it could have went that way with EG too, because if I went with EG, then they just completely died.
Thank God you didn't go with those fucking shitheads, man. What the fuck were they doing?
But. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really worried, but I probably should have been. But overall, there's nothing really I can do about it anyway. That's kind of like my mentality about it. I was like, well, something happens, whatever.
Did you feel like it was a distraction going on behind the scenes when you guys were competing and practicing as a team? Was it like in the back of your minds, or were you weighing?
It was a little bit during Sydney, because that's when like the article came out and everyone was like, oh crap, like is something about to happen? But at the end of the day, like we kind of just like kept waiting for news, and we were like, hey, are we still good? Like, what's happening? And like Jason couldn't even really give us any like updates because it's a public traded company.
Yeah.
So it was hard. Like we couldn't really get like the information that well during it. So it was tough.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wanted to ask about your. Was there like did you like have any like culture shock or like even like a minimal identity crisis after Liquid? Because he'd been with them.
Culture shock.
Well, he's been with Liquid for what, like 8 years? Like, was it like weird? Yeah. Like, it had to have been weird to a certain extent.
No, I don't think it was that weird. I kind of just felt like it was. I mean, I've been on a lot of different like rosters on Liquid, so I was always just looking for like references. Like, okay, it's like this guy's kind of like that. So I was kind of just like looking for those similarities. I think the biggest thing that was like a shock was kind of like more at the beginning, because on Liquid we were putting in like. We were doing like 5-6 scrims with like 3-4 hours of like theory / going over stuff.
Yeah.
So that was a lot, obviously. And when I came to the team, I'm like, okay, guys, we're going to work hard just like this. And they tried it. It didn't really work. And then we just like had the talks of like what works for us. And I think that was like the biggest thing that I've like learned from like joining the team was like what is good for us. Like it doesn't really matter like what you think is good. Like if you think 5-6 scrims is good, and it doesn't work for you, and you're not performing, then it's not good for you. Yeah. And that's just how it is. And I think that's something I learned a lot from like GT, especially because he's like very like, this is good for me, and like this is what's gonna make me the best. And like he'll take the suggestions and stuff, and like we'll try stuff. But at the end of the day, like we need to think about what's best for us and like how we can like do our best. And I wish I had more of that on Liquid for like the last like year and a half, because I felt like we were more focused on like what do we think is good, or like what's like our idea of like this is good to do versus like what works for us as individuals.
Yeah, I think also something related to that a little bit is like, yes, you've been on Liquid for a long time, but it started off you being this young talent, up and comer, then you developed into a really good player. And
I'm an old guy.
So you're bald now. Welcome.
Turning into the veteran of the team, right, and the leader of the team in a sense. So at which point did you sort of realize that yourself and maybe understood that your responsibilities have maybe shifted a little bit, or you had some added responsibility because of it?
That was pretty much before Sydney. Like during that, like just making sure that I know that I am like the guy that everyone's looking towards. Like if I'm like mad, then everyone's like, oh crap, like he's mad. I was like, oh, John's happy, then we're happy. And like that's pretty much like the thing that I have to like keep in my mind, that like even if I get like upset about something, I need to like quickly reset, or just if something goes wrong, like even in any round, just moving on from it quickly. And that's something that I've like really learned. Okay, I need to like be really, really good about this, especially when I'm like on a team with a lot of rookie players that aren't haven't been as decorated or anything like that. So they're all looking to me for that, and I've like had to like take up like that mantle. And obviously it's always going to be like a thing that you have to work on. Like perfection's always like a moving target, and like you're always going to have like new things that you have to work on. So yeah, I think that's like pretty much the biggest thing of like when I realized that.
Yeah. I like derailing. Can I derail again?
Derail, baby.
Okay, so Jason just mentioned your hairstyle choice. No, this is serious, Jason.
Oh, my bad.
I think he's laughing the fact you used the word choice.
But okay.
It's kind of a choice.
Yeah, but no, I think it is, because so we did an episode, me, Jason, and Trace of this podcast.
I wanted to watch that one because I was curious what you guys said, but I don't really watch podcasts too long.
The molding about balding?
Molding about balding.
Yeah.
Right? So just spoke about, because Trace and I both have had hair transplants, right? Mm-hmm. And Jason, obviously, he did.
He chose LASIK.
No, this is serious, guys. Come on.
Yeah, so we were just talking about like our experiences with it and the way that it like made us feel and everything like that. And I'm curious from So for me, I feel that I went the Vane option, right? It really tanked my self-confidence on the camera all the time. I was so worried, like I'm getting makeup done. I had like hair powder to like put on so it would stop the shine of the scalp and everything like that. And then eventually I went through with doing the procedure, and now I fucking have as much hair as I had when I was a teenager. Like, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But when you were going, like, when you were losing your hair, did it even bother you? Like, did you give it? Because you're a really pragmatic guy. I'm curious. I'm a fucking idiot. So I'm talking to someone who's, I would say, is infinitely smarter than me. I'm curious to see how you felt about it.
Honestly, it affected me a lot. I think that during 2018, I think I first started like thinking about it, and then 2019, I felt like more self-conscious about it, and I actually felt like it like affected me like during the games as well, because I was always like thinking of like how I looked on camera, like even like during like the webcams and stuff, and I didn't like want to overreact.
That webcam angle is like this,
and,
like
nice,
straight on.
It like makes me look bad, and then I'm like self-conscious about it. Like during the game, like I would actually be thinking about it, and I think it sucks for everybody. I think that I don't really mind it too much right now, but I just hate like being a part of like bald is the personality type thing. Like I don't want that to be like the top. And
Preach it, baby.
It's not a knock on anybody that does it, because I get it, because that's just like what people say, but it's just so annoying for that to be like, this is my personality now. Like now I have to be like, yep, I'm John, I'm bald. It's like you're not saying like I'm Chad, I have brown hair. Like that's not what we say. So that's like the only thing where I'm like, dude, like should I just get a hair transplant, because I don't want to deal with this. But overall, like I'm happy that I just did it. I didn't even expect or be ready to do it. Pretty much what happened was after Dallas of what was it, last year, I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna shave and just see how it looks. So I just shaved it, saw how it looks, and then like all the team stuff happened, and then like Jason wanted me to like come over like to do like a video. I'm like, crap, like. Well, my hair's not back
I did not
yet.
expect this.
I was like, my hair's not grown back yet, so I guess I'm just gonna roll with it and just see how it goes. And I was like way more surprised that people were more positive about it than I was expecting, because I thought it was gonna be worse. Like I had like this whole like thing that was like, okay, this is gonna be my life now. This is a huge choice. Like that's how I felt like the entire time. Like I have to make a huge choice for my entire life.
Yeah.
And that was the most stressful thing about it. So just making a choice was the best thing.
I can relate to that heaps, because for me it was like it was thinning and I'm covering it up instead of like thinking. And I was like, I've never shaved my head like close. I had like a number 3 or something, but never closer than that. So I was like, how is my head gonna look? What if I have a weird shaped head? What if I look ugly? Like people aren't gonna recognize me. I'm always known as the guy with the hair. And it's
lush hair.
It's fucked. It plays on your mind all the time.
It does.
It's so fucked. And the thing with it is people are cunts. Like I remember, they are 100%. I'm doing HLTV Confirmed podcast, and people are in there like, haha, Sponge is balding. I'm like, fuck.
That would piss me off too. Whenever someone would say that about me, like, because that they're just trying to find a way to push your buttons. Like I'd be in a pug and I'd be owning them, and they'd be like, fucking EliGE balding, ugly fuck, and I'd be like, fuck. I'd be like, you know what, fuck you. But that kind of hurts me.
You actually got me with that.
Like, because even if like I want to say like it doesn't hurt me, like it does a little bit.
Yeah.
And now when someone says anything, I'm like, yeah. And
Yeah.
so what? So now it's like
takes the ammunition away.
Exactly, and that's been like the most positive thing about it.
Have you gotten the compliment yet that you have a nicely shaped head?
I have.
It's weird, isn't it?
It is.
Have you figured out how to respond to that one yet? I still
I'm
don't
just
know.
like,
yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, I've worked out a lot.
Appreciate that.
No, for me it's just weird. Obviously I'm not, like part of the community.
You're not concerned yet.
But the reason I troll Jason about it as well is because in Serbia it's not a big deal. Like we don't have this thing where it's like you look down on people who are bald or anything. Or like, this guy just has no hair. So that's why I'm sometimes like so casual around it. Like because it's not a thing, right? Like where people like that's something that they find the meaning about you. They're like, your voice, like, bro, I have no hair, so like, what does this change? Like, how is this a thing, right?
Now I just get typecast in all these skits.
Yeah.
The Jerry Springer skit that Trace did. I forget the guy's name. He walked up. He was like, "Hey, can you play this guy?" And I was like, I don't even know who the fuck that is. Who is he? And he goes, "Oh, he's just a bald dude that hangs on the Jerry Springer show." I'm like, "Yeah, man, I got you." Like,
who else was gonna?
Frank walks up and he's like, "Hey, can you play Baron Harkonnen?" I'm like, "Yeah, bro." Is it because he's bald? It's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, sure, I got you, dog. There's no worries."
And you're overrated.
You're getting roles, man. You're getting roles.
I know it's a nice niche to have.
No, but I feel like the reason that I wanted to do the podcast with Jason and Trace about it is because like I think a lot of men go through it in their life, and it's something that is important to talk about because it's not spoken about, and a lot of people are going to feel insecure about it and think that it's just a problem that they're feeling or something that they're feeling. And I think that like any dude who's going through that feels that same way. So it's like, it's not a fun thing. And people are like, oh yeah, but there's so many worse things in the world than losing your hair. But it's like, well,
there's also many better things in the world than losing your hair. You know, like you can't just pick that out. Like
it's like, but this is worse, isn't it? Like people are just like, oh, you're having a bad situation. Yeah, but what about those people having a worse situation? It's like, well, this still sucks.
What about this guy who is the son of, you know?
Yeah. Especially when you're on camera, or in a very publicly visible position.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for answering that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that anyone that's having that thought, just go one way or the other and just go for it and just stop even thinking about it. Yeah. If you don't want to take drugs your whole life, shave it off. If you do, no, then it is.
Yeah, I gotta water my hair every night like a fucking plant.
Like a chia pet.
I spray shit in there and have to massage it in there. Like, I brush my teeth, I spray stuff in. I do it topically, I don't do it orally. I didn't want to get the side of the...
Is it finasteride or minoxidil?
It's a mixture of both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I just spray that shit on, massage it in, go to bed. I didn't want to have the... I don't want to like quote one way or another because I'm not a doctor and I don't know the statistics.
This is not medical advice.
In terms of the topically compared to the orally way, the side effects are meant to be much less.
Well, it just absorbs less, so you're just getting less of a dose. Because I looked at that as well. So you're just getting less of the dose that you would.
I still wanted my dick to work, so that was like one of my main concerns with the whole,
pretty big concern.
Yeah, quite a lot. Yeah. Imagine you've got your hair.
What do you think is
your dick don't work?
Yeah.
Ooh, what would be the trade-off there, Chad? Your dick is not on camera.
I'd shave my head.
Your dick's not on camera.
Because when I shaved my head, I was like, it looked alright. It didn't look bad.
As far as we know.
As far as we know. Yeah.
Well, you know. You don't know what I'm filming in here with these cameras when you guys aren't around.
Exactly.
The Counter-Strike's not on the TV at that point, I'll tell you that much.
How do we re-rail this conversation?
Well, like this, I have a question.
Lots of
I'm wondering about like that the last roster of Liquid you were a part of, and you know Yakinder is the IGL and that whole situation. And also I just didn't like, you know, from the outside, for me, even what you guys were saying in some of the interviews initially when he came in, he's like coming in with so many ideas and he's teaching us like so much. Like, listen, like sure, there's a difference between being in EU and NA, like you're a little bit more up to date to the meta, but I don't think like you or Naf or Nick, even with his time away from the game, like are incompetent, are not competent enough to look at the games and see how you need to play and all that stuff. So it sounded like a little bit, I don't know, for me it was a little bit arrogance that I smelled, from
Yanko hates Yakinder.
I think he bit off more than he can chew. I think he's like, he's a young guy, so it's like one of those things, I want everything, I want it now. He is like Al Pacino in Scarface. Like
there's a skit in there somewhere, Jason.
There is a skit in there somewhere. Keep going.
So I'm just wondering, like, how was that whole dynamic
debacle
in that lineup?
From at which point? Like when he became the IGL, or?
I mean, you can even start from when he joined the team and then the IGL part of it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is it was hard for Nick to IGL because, like, we literally scrapped our whole entire scrapbook, which was really weird. I don't understand like why we did that exactly, but we scrapped the whole scrapbook and then we just did everything that Yakinder brought from like VP. So I mean, I think the biggest thing that he really helped
that was when he came to.
That was when he joined.
When he joined,
yeah,
okay.
We completely scrapped
so
everything.
Just a massive overhaul.
Yeah, so nothing the same at all. We renamed spots and just renamed a lot of stuff.
That doesn't make any sense, to be honest. Like renaming.
It actually wasn't that bad. So
was he bringing in the numbering stuff, or
no? It was more about just like things being more consistent. So like if like a box is on like the right side and then there's like this open space, and like the box is always like chopper and then the open space is res, for example.
Okay.
Like that's like something we did, and I think that actually was positive because it's like bringing like naming associations. So I think that was a good thing. And then the other like big thing that he brought was just like focusing on like timings of rounds and like how to like describe like rounds better. But yeah, like it's not like we're like dumb or anything. Like we can't figure out like strats. Yeah. But I think that was like the big thing that like we brought that was like considered like bringing us up to the meta, in my opinion.
So wait, can you give me an example of the box situation you're talking about on a map?
Like for Mirage, for example, like the top con box, like we called that chopper, and then the opposite side's res. And then for Vertigo, the box, it's not exactly on the right side, but we still went with like the box on Vertigo being at bottom fork, being chopper, and then the opposite side would be res.
Okay.
And I think there's one more. I'm not thinking off the top of my head, but it's pretty much like having that like naming scheme where like we don't like if we're gonna play like a brand new map, for example, like we just started playing, whatever, Thera. We're not just gonna start calling, we see, I don't know, a paprika, like a paprika thing, and we're just like, okay, let's call this paprika. It's like, we don't say that word on any other map.
Yeah.
So I think just having it like,
fuck, you would have had a bit on my team.
No,
it's helpful, honestly, because I think it gives like positive associations where it's like, okay, well, this is similar to that, this is similar to this. Because the thing is most of Counter-Strike and just anything, I think, is just associating things that you already know and just making it a little bit better, a little bit different, like finding, some successful guy does something this way and then you relate it to CS. So I think that was really helpful.
You should have a terminology, basically.
Oh, exactly.
Kinda. I think that's what it is. Like we had Gambit smokes on every map, which, it's not that Gambit had this on every map.
Yeah.
It's just when you have two smoke combination for something, you can say, okay, guys, do the Gambit smokes, and then we'll do this, right? And on every map, okay, the players immediately know what it is, because it's not only important that people know what it is. Like, you can describe it in multiple ways. It's like, how do you describe it in the most succinct way, and like that the players can memorize it and remember it, so that they'll be, oh wait, what are we doing again? And the in-game leader has to explain it to him, remind them again, and all of a sudden it took like 4 extra seconds and the timing is gone. You're getting fucked and the round is over.
Okay.
But how about the in-game leader part?
Well, I think that he had a good mind for the game. I think he still does, probably. I think that he like understands like how the other team was thinking a lot of time. Like we understood like what was happening in the rounds, but I think like where he was falling short was he didn't think what is the best for like my players. Like how can I get the best out of the players? And that's where he didn't have everything like up to date. And that's probably why we didn't succeed. Because at the end of the day, like to be a good leader, you need to think of like what's best for the team, not just what's my idea of what's the best for the team. What is actually going to work? Like how can this guy actually be more comfortable? Like how can we get him like in the game? How can we feel like he's a part of like the team? That's what we didn't have. We were just like a group of guys doing some strats, and we were understanding the game, but we weren't understanding like how to get the best out of each other.
And also you need to, you have your idea about the game, but can the players execute that idea? If you can't execute, then, there's no point to it. You have to adjust to what you can actually do what you can execute on a high level consistently.
Yeah.
He's currently suffering a bit of that, once you go leader, you never go back kind of scenario, right? Like not in the sense that he can't just be a player, but...
Well, I don't think so. I think being an IGL improves every player. Like if you've had to, like let's say Electronic wasn't a good IGL, right? But that experience, I think, made him a better player. I know for sure it made Nico a better player.
Yeah. But I'm just curious, like how many, like more often than not, it's a negative connotation. Like players never return to that individual level. There's probably some outliers. Like I think Nico would be one of those outliers.
Yeah.
Electronic, if he continues
he's playing good.
I think for him it was a little bit more, his level didn't fall off because he in-game led for a while. It's because the team started falling apart. So.
Yeah. But I just like you think of some of these players that we talk about that took it over and they don't really return to the type of form that we expect. Like to be fair, Yukinder, the reason that the when I think of him at his best was when he was in VP and he was just the spearhead that was like able to hard entry, and then the team would capitalize on the space or they wouldn't, right? Like that was pretty much it. But since that's been a while now, that's been a long time now.
He was breaking out when I was in Liquid. I mean, like even watching him watching him back then was like some of those. I don't know. Sometimes I think like some of those plays only really work because it was the online era that he was making.
Jason, damn.
Sometimes,
Jason.
Not all of them.
I didn't really watch like a lot back then, like when he was on VP, but I felt like on Liquid he was really smart, like with like how he wanted to like approach like his fights. Like he really like was able to break down like the micro of how he thinks about like how to win a duel, and like I think his experience on VP like really helped with that. Where in terms of like if a guy's like holding an angle, if you like there's different ways you can like strafe into like that guy to kill that guy, for example. So I'm really surprised that he's not playing like as well like on Liquid right now.
Well, I would wonder, continuing with that conversation about being an in-game leader and then going back, I wonder if he's gone back to like focusing on the micro decisions of players.
Yeah, that's what's hard. Like if he hasn't been focusing on it, then that could be why it is.
Because like you train that macro brain to a certain extent, and then you kind of always have that a little bit.
Look at the big picture.
Yeah.
That's like a factor, but I always think of like how I was playing on Liquid, I really didn't feel like I had like a voice, like at all.
Yeah.
And I've said that before, even on like the Richard Lewis thing that I got a lot of shit for. But I'm like, guys, I mean, I'm not gonna elaborate. But you can either take my word for it or just think I'm a fuckhead.
Yeah.
if you don't feel like you have a voice or you don't feel like you're a part of like it's hard to describe, but if you don't feel like you I don't know how to say exactly.
Especially you, because you like being involved in plays that have an impact on the
also
round.
like
and
in the game planning and building of the how you want to play and construction of rounds and like the direction of which the team is going strategically. Yeah,
if you're not feeling like really good about like that part of like your game and like the team's game and like you're like the guy and like you're used to being like the guy, then maybe that's like affecting it a lot, because I don't know exactly like how their structure is, but I feel like that's something that they've been kind of like talking about in interviews.
You also like don't have the same level of confidence when you're executing someone else's idea versus when you're part of the process and can kind of gear a strategy.
Yeah, like for example, I remember on Overpass when I was playing A on Liquid, I would kind of be like, I have this read, so I would like be thinking, okay, like I mean I'm pretty sure that this is happening. I'd be like, guys, like can I do this? Like I think that they're doing that. Yeah, and then I would have to like ask for permission. I'm like always like self-doubting is like, can I do this? So maybe that's like, it could be something. I think that's like something that like happens to a lot of players. Like if you don't have that confidence, or like the team doesn't have like confidence in your decision where you have to like ask, like, can I do this? Am I allowed? Then you're just not going to be a good player.
And then those extra 3 seconds of asking daddy for permission is like play's gone. Like you've missed the window.
That's wild to me. That like you would like be in a situation where you feel like you have to do that. Like that's crazy to me. Like if there was one thing I always said to my player is like, whatever your instinct is, just follow it. Like sure, we have like rules some in place for different situations, but whatever, especially when it's like a live game, just do it. I mean, granted, I also had the benefit of having, good experienced players on my team, so that's the way you would go about it. And then, if it's a mistake, like we'll review the game, and if we see and why is it bad, like maybe it was a good idea that just didn't work out, and it sucks that it didn't work out and you lose an important round. But
as long as you're doing it for a reason, that makes sense.
You can't base it off of results. Like you did something random and you got 2 kills and like, oh yeah, this is great. Like it has to be based off of something. But
well, it's weird to hear you say that, because when I was in Liquid and you were part of the pack, you were like kind of the commander of the pack in a way. Like you'd be like that. Yeah, you're like they're doing this. Someone's rotating. Hey, can you throw me this smoke? Can you throw me this flashbang? And then make the play off that.
Yeah.
Wasn't like that.
It wasn't like that for like the last little bit in Liquid, I'd say.
And it's hard to play when the way you're playing feels unnatural to you.
Yeah.
When you have 2 different philosophies about the game. This was like in MIBR initially, because Jake and Tarek, like they want to speed up in a lot of scenarios when there's something happening, and the Brazilians, they want to slow it down, right? Like take their time, be patient. So it's you're trying to figure it all out and find like what's the best way to, because either way can work, but everyone has to do it.
Yeah.
If you're split in half, but I'm sure for Stewie it felt unnatural sometimes to have to play it slow, and that's why sometimes maybe things would go wrong and we would lose the same way. It would feel like weird for Cold to have to speed up. That's probably the weirdest feeling he ever experienced. But
like you don't speed up and then you felt like you lost your timing, and then like something bad happens. You start like moving when they start moving, and the round just falls apart.
Yeah,
I think unless Liquid like get to the finals of Dallas and here, I don't know what other events they're in. I don't know if they're anything else at all.
I think they're done until after the player break. Yeah.
I think if they don't go like finals or like show good Counter-Strike against, it'd be Astralis they'd play here.
Yeah.
And we don't know in Dallas, we'll have to wait and see. But if they don't show like promising signs and like have good games and are pushing, I think they're due roster changes come the player break.
I think you have to, like, probably. I mean, I've said it a couple of times. It comes down to Yakinder and Skulls. Like, Nav Twists are like playing really well. They're delivering in their roles. KDN is always, it's always going to be the same with him. You're going to have ups and downs. He's the in-game leader. He's the the captain of the team. And then it's like, what can you get out of Skulls and Yakinder?
Skulls has good moments.
Yeah, and sometimes also he looks a little bit lost, right? And you wonder how much of that is because of maybe communication issues, or maybe like John said, like, he has to ask for fucking permission to do shit because he's the last on that pecking order, right? And maybe it's like more about, not trying to fuck up instead of just being a little bit more aggressive and taking more initiative, or maybe he just can't. Maybe he's not there yet. Maybe he's just not good enough to be on this team, and no one will know better than Liquid.
It's hard to say. You never really know
unless you're on the team. But I think it's gonna be 6 months at the player break, right?
Well, Liquid will want results.
And they also haven't made the major, so it's absolutely out of the question that they don't miss another major. So if they don't feel confident in any of the players, as long as it's 1 or 2 players, like they'll fucking pull the trigger. They have to.
Yeah, for sure. I think that the thing that with it, for me in the beginning, something I thought was a positive was this injection of big personalities and them coming together. Like the fact you're going to have Zeus there from a coaching perspective. He's a outspoken guy, definitely says what he feels. Katie, I think, is the same.
Kinder's the same, yeah.
I think, I expect Russ to come in playing with FaZe, having a good idea of how he thinks top-level Counter-Strike should be played, right?
And then Naf's just there.
Yeah, Naf and Skulls are kind of just there. I'm sure Keith has opinions, but he's probably not going to fight to the death for them.
No.
So I thought that would be a positive because we'd be like, all right, we're going to mix all these things together. But obviously, it's hard to blend those things together. And then if there is communication issues, which, 2 of them are native English speakers. Cadian's a Dane. Yakinda's English is great. I'm not going to put all.
Well, even Cadian is saying like that. It takes him a while. It's the first time, not the first time, but okay.
There's going to be a lag. It's probably not as bad as like
getting
Vitality.
used to like the name of the spots, like introducing like the terminology and all this stuff. It's like it's not as easy, obviously, as it is in Danish. So even for someone like him who has perfectly fine English, there's an adjustment period.
So here we go. Let me get back to my favorite thing, the communication thing, where I end up losing that bet. Right, I still think it was a pretty good fucking. I forget the exact terms.
What was the exact? Bet?
It was about like top 3 to 6 months
team,
international team, and I think FaZe were the ones who fucked me. I think FaZe were the ones who ended up fucking me. But I think that you have to kind of play Counter-Strike in a certain way when you're an international team. Whereas like when I look at Heroic with Cadian and how proactive or reactive or whatever the fuck you want to call it, but it was just bang, 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 constant. You don't have any lag in communication, and you see parts of that in Astralis now. Right, with Stown there and Yabi there and the way that they're able to react to things. But if you're blending all these nationalities together, you either need to have players of FaZe level caliber who all know how to fucking play, like and can all. I don't want to say because this might be going a bit far, but it's like closer to like the Swedish style of CS, right? In the sense of like they once they get into the mid round or they're defaulting, everybody knows the right things to do a bit more cerebrally.
And you make your individual decisions based off that final goal.
Yes, they know what the right choices are and they can play well off of each other, right? They have that, which is that natty chem, right? Whereas other teams, it might need to be more of the protocols or the rules or going through all of these different things. So I think FaZe is like the outlier, unfortunately, which also fucked me from the bet. But I just think like the speed of the comms is always going to be one of the keys or key limiting factors. Like, did you notice when Yakinda came that you had limiting factors because he's a more aggressive guy?
Honestly, his comms are pretty good.
Yeah, his English is great.
I never felt like he was like slow to like think or like say something. So I didn't really think that. Okay. That's surprising that like Cadian like felt that as well. Felt that way because I had never felt like Cadian's English would be bad, but maybe it's just different. Sorry, not like his English is bad, but like that it would be like slower.
Having a part, yeah.
Having
just
to, like,
those pressure moments of Counter-Strike when you hear a call and like you need that quarter second, that half second of reacting to it.
With how crazy they'd play on Heroic, right? Some of the shit they were doing like was meta defining.
We're seeing a little bit of it in Liquid. Their CT sides.
I see their CT sides look just like Heroics.
Yeah.
Honestly, like,
they do
with
a lot
of like their stacks and stuff and all that. I feel like their T sides are where like things are a little bit too fast. Is what I kind of think about them playing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we also heard them, Cadian, Heroic, Twists, FaZe, Zeus with his thing, Yakinda as well, pretty vocal. So it's about sort of, you have a lot of guys there who have their opinion and want to do or have certain moves and want to do all these things. So for Cadian, it's different, like having to find ways to incorporate all this compared to Heroic, where it was mostly like, hey, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a challenge.
What was it like getting back with Grim after like a year and a half apart after he left Liquid?
Yeah, I thought that he was he was playing how I thought that he like when he was on Liquid, we all kind of like felt that he was kind of similar playstyle to Russ.
Yeah.
But he was more thinking that he was more like he wanted to be like more rotatey and stuff. But I think now on Complexity, like he had the full choice of what he wanted to do, right?
Yeah.
Like and now he's playing the exact roles like he played on Liquid, so I'm like nice. Like Mike like found his comfort of how he wants to be like as a player.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like really nice. I think that he's like improved a lot.
What was the biggest improvement you saw in him?
Biggest improvement, I'd say, in his game sense and just his comfortability as a player. Like, as just like saying that, because I felt like he didn't really know who he was as a player when he joined Liquid, and yeah, that was why it just didn't work. And that's why I think like putting people in different roles is really hard, as Astralis like kind of saw. Whereas like if you just have people in like roles that they're not comfortable with, like it's just not going to work out. Like I completely think that like roles are completely personality based. And I think personalities can be like molded and like changed a little bit, but I feel like players are really suited for like particular like spots. And I think Mike has been playing like really, really well, like in his spot. It's more about like finding consistency and stuff like that. But I'm happy that like he found himself like as a player of like how he wants to play.
I want you to elaborate on that, John.
Which part?
The roles are personality based.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, so but I want to hear more. I'm interested.
Well, I think that a guy that's like naturally like more quiet is probably not going to be the best suited for like making like reads of like spots. Like if you're like someone that's more like outgoing and what's like the word when you're just you take initiative. So if you're like that type of guy, then
assertive.
Assertive, yeah. Like if you're that type of player, then I think you're definitely much more suited for rotator roles. Whereas like the player that's like kind of like Axile, Rops, and Bit. Like I feel like I don't know them personally, but like when I see them, I feel like they have like a similar like personality, like archetype, where they're headshotters, they're really comfortable like in their spots. They like to be able to like focus on their crosshair, and that's kind of like how I feel about like Mike a little bit to an extent, where like if they can just like focus on their crosshair and focus on the game, like they're gonna like frag out like super hard. And then on like CT side, like just getting like set up and like being in like really good like spots where they can like anchor down. I feel like those types of players are all like really similar from like my perspective as like a personality.
Like here's your bomb site, here's your 2 choke points. I'm gonna have the flashes for you.
And they just do it well. Like they want to focus like on their crosshair and just like get stuff done.
And then you have guys like Nico, guys like Jake, right, who are very active and
want to take fights,
very talkative.
Yeah. Like I wanna if I'm having to just like look at like one tunnel and I'm just like staring at it for like 45 seconds.
Lose your mind.
Like, dude, oh my God. Like, I need to like, I don't know what they're doing. I can't help. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like that's just suited for different players.
How do you look at AWPers then? Because I think with what you're saying here, there's probably more variance with AWPers.
Yeah. Well, I think there's some AWPers that are more passive and some that are more aggressive, obviously, that will fit different teams better.
Okay.
So like Shiro, for example, is really passive, and then he's playing on a team with like Donk, who's like super aggressive.
It's a good mix.
Yeah, and I think it's like a good mix for them. And like you can probably find like similarities with that. Obviously, there's like more like hybrids, like Brokey and Simple and Zywoo and stuff like that kind of like don't really fit into that. But you can find a really good balance of like personalities based off of like play style.
I think it's also more difficult for AWPers because especially the newer ones and the younger ones, the meta is in a way where you're not going to find tremendous success being passive, like as an AWPer. It has to be very special in a way, like the way James does it in a sense, or Shiro, right? But again, as you said, like that depends on the teammates you have complemented, and the way they structure their game is different.
Yep.
Naturally, even before you become a pro, you're picking up the AWP and you're like, jumping around, like you're finding kills, you're pushing up, you're being aggressive. So I think more and more, just innately, if you're going to be an AWPer, we're going to see less and less of the more passive ones.
I wonder then, all right, let's extrapolate further. Let's talk about like coaches in that vein then. Do you think that there needs to be a personality complementing the in-game leader, or is it more like complementing the team from a coach perspective? Or do you think a coach should kind of fit a certain bill?
I think that it's really hard because I feel like that really depends on the team, but I feel like IGL plus coach should be on like the complete same wavelength, where they know like what they should be complementing each other in like inverse ways, or I don't know, it's kind of hard to say. I don't know if I have like a formula for like what makes sense, because I think so many things can work, but I think if like the IGL and coach like don't sync well, then the team's probably not going to work out.
I think for that it's more the composition of the team that matters. Like of course it's very important, the relationship between coach and IGL.
Yeah.
But I think it's you also look at what sort of a team is it? Is it a team like FaZe that has all like fully established players and you don't need to do too much on the player development? It's more about how do you get those guys to peak at the right moment, right? And to have good energy and all that stuff.
Be in the right zone.
That's why Robban was the most underrated coach ever, because he's not like a Blade who's like mega strategic, but you have Kerrigan there.
You don't need it.
You don't need it, right? You need someone who's gonna. How do you get Brokey to be like vocal and have good energy on game day? How do you get like more out of Rain, who's played for 10 years on a pro level, right? And is, like obviously you're not as motivated or as hungry necessarily as a super young player. And I think that's what's important when you're like picking guys. Obviously, someone like Maus, you need a completely different guy. Like you need a guy who's going to be able to put good structure, keep them professional, disciplined, teach them about some stuff, like create the game in a way, build the plan, like you said, that suits the players, that matches the players well. So I think that's something that's overlooked. Like you can have a really good coach not work out for a team because he's just not
the wrong fit,
a good fit. I was critical of Malik, towards the tail end of G2, but that's I don't think Malik is a bad coach. I think he's a really good coach for like a team like Maus, like for those teams that need a little bit of a teacher, and all of that stuff. I don't think he's good at like handling big personalities and like a championship level team, and then that sort of, because at that point it's not about finding the strat or all this stuff. It's more about how do you get these big and these big players. Your job mainly is to get into the playoffs.
Yep.
Because in the playoffs,
they'll take over.
Completely different team relative to the other teams that are going to be in the playoffs, and that's where they will. A lot of stuff will resolve itself on its own.
Yeah. What type of coach is TC?
I feel like he's not
other than a smiley coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's a really good coach in terms of like dealing with like player personalities and like trying to get us like all on the same page and like talking well, because he's literally the only extroverted guy on like the whole team. So it's kind of like
he's actually a doctor, right?
He is a doctor, which is crazy. Yeah,
like a doctor, or like he has a doctorate.
Like a doctor.
Right.
It blows my mind every time that clicks. Like this guy's out here with us clowns. He's a fucking doctor.
Yeah,
good for him.
But yeah, he's not like a Blade type of coach where he's like creating a massive game plan, because you don't really need that. Like with JT and me, like we do a really good job at that, and James IRL as well for our coach.
Yeah. So he's not here, is he?
No, he's not here. But like we pretty much like have the micro and strats that we want to run. And it's more about like getting the best out of the players, and I think that he does like a good job at that. If we have like any conflicts, like he's really like outgoing of like figuring out like how to deal with that best. So I'd say he's kind of similar to Zeus, I'd say, in that type of sense, but more smiley, of course, because he's really always happy. He's
more
never
smiley.
not happy. It's insane.
Now we need to do a segment with if/when you win your series. Our post-game interview should be with TC, and we'll make it something maybe like anatomy related.
Maybe
an autopsy, the post-mortem of the opponents.
That'd be good.
Yeah, but we need to
what's the surgeon game, the doctor game?
Oh,
what are you talking about? I don't know the name of it.
You can't touch the sides of the body. I know.
Yeah,
Operation.
That's the one.
Yeah, you got to get some Counter-Strike into Operation.
Yeah, look, I was thinking like more getting him to name all the obscure parts of the body, but I'm sure that could work too.
How are we going to tie that into Counter-Strike?
I wanted to test his doctorate.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted. Hey, TC, I got the sniffles lately. What should I do?
Yeah.
Okay. Get some medical advice.
Sure.
Free medical advice.
Actually, we should do like a PSA with him, how to get the players to not get fucking sick.
Well, if anything, how is anyone in their team getting sick?
Well, food poisoning.
Surely he should be out there doing
much.
med checks and everything every morning. He's out there, doing the thing with the knee,
give him the IV.
The mallet.
Since you brought up Zeus as someone who coached you, let's talk about 2018 Liquid against Astralis.
Oh, come on, man.
Not trying to bring it down.
It's not too bad. I mean, second place for a whole year. I mean, guys, it's not that bad.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah,
it was.
It didn't feel good at the moment, but looking back at it, like it wasn't that bad.
And it was the greatest team of all time.
That had to have been such a frustrating year, though, at the time.
Yeah, for sure. We were definitely feeling like
you guys tried everything.
It's like, dude, like what? How can we beat these guys? Like, are we ever gonna win a tournament? Like, we're always like having that like in the back of our heads. But yeah, I mean, it was a tough year.
How frustrating is it? Like like you play them so much, and every time they can just pick a map, and it's coming, and it's like you try so many different things, and nothing can work
except for Train.
Yeah,
ironically.
that one time that we picked it, of course. Yeah, I mean, I think that we just weren't thinking about the game like good enough at the time. Like at the time, we were kind of, well, of course, like everyone like is developing as like teams and players. So whatever I think now, obviously, I know how I would beat them back then.
Yeah.
But at the time, we weren't really thinking of like how we can anti-strat them, because we were kind of thinking, okay, they play so defaulty and like such like solid CS, like we can't really have like a big game plan. So we were thinking, okay, well, we just have to be better, but we weren't playing better than them, like team play or like individually wise, and that's why we were losing. And we needed to do like a better job of like anti-stratting and like game planning like better, of like understanding exactly like when they're weak and when they're not, because we didn't understand when they were weak. And obviously every team is going to be weak at some point. And I remember I watched a Hunter x Hunter. I don't know if you. It's like an anime.
Yeah.
It's like the one king guy. He's like losing to the blind girl or whatever.
Yes.
Like, and he learned
this
a lot.
Is an Antarc.
Yeah. And he like learned a lot from her. And I was like, man, if I just like watched Hunter x Hunter in 2018, I actually would have won. This is why people that watch anime are so good, guys. There's so much that you can learn, and I felt like if I actually watched that, we probably could have like persevered through.
Shut the fuck up.
No, that's not even joking. That's not even joking.
There you go, just watch anime, Jason.
This has been an episode of Get Animated with guest EliGE.
But there's a lot of stuff that you can learn from it, and that's why Jake like was really helpful, because I feel like he like pushed through and like understood like the game of like, this is when they're weak. This is like what we can exploit.
Yeah.
That we couldn't figure out back then.
If I see you show up with one of those Weeb mouse pads, John.
Nah, I mean mine's like, it's kind of like a ninja right now. I don't know if that's considered a weebie.
That's fine. Ninja's cool.
Okay, yeah.
Why are
ninjas
you
cool.
hating on anime, motherfucker?
Jason,
I'm
it's
not
pretty
hating
good.
on anime.
No, you would like it. Trust me.
He just wants it to be more, for there to be more depth than to. Yeah, we should have just watched fucking anime.
This Hunter x Hunter has a lot of depth.
It does.
Look,
He just
I've
refused
explained
it.
this a number of times.
Which
I've
is
gone
weird
through,
considering Jason's like some of Jason's affinities. It's kind of weird that he's not into anime. Let's just put it that way. But it would make sense for him to watch a lot of anime. But yeah.
I've explained it many
He's
times.
right.
I went through my like 2-year period of trying to enjoy anime.
Trying.
And there were a couple that I enjoyed. But what I found with anime was for every...
How many anime were you watching?
I literally...
2 years.
Literally.
Didn't try any
Literally,
good
I
ones.
tried. I watched a shit ton of anime because like there were some that I really enjoyed, and I wanted to find more that I
Name
really
them.
enjoyed.
What did you really
Yeah,
enjoy?
which ones?
Obviously, Dragon Ball Z was up there. I don't remember all of them now. This was like 2012 or something.
Yeah,
like
okay, get into some of the...
Love Dragon Ball.
Give it a chance.
that. Attack on Titan was pretty cool. I haven't
scary.
finished it. I haven't finished. Too scary.
Dude, I remember the first
Elfen
time...
Lied I really enjoyed, although that's not really considered the
I
top-notch
only seen
anime by the
Attack on
anime
Titan and Death
circles.
Note.
The first
I'm
first
basic
time
bitch.
I watched like the first Attack on Titan episode, I was flying at 30,000 feet, right? I was up there. I was up in the clouds.
Yeah.
And I was with Henry and Alex, and we were watching it in the basement of the old place we had here in Malta. And I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, these giant mouths.
And they're
stuff.
eating
Like,
people.
I had to take like a multi-year break before I ever got back on the Attack on Titan.
Sure.
Like,
too scary.
Yeah,
I
you
had
had
to-
to-
like, what's going on?
But the scouts and
Bleach was good. I like
scary.
Bleach. Bleach is too scary.
I like good vibes, Jason.
Positive
I have a
vibes
lot of
only.
where's this one? Do you know this one that Rush was talking about, the volleyball
Oh,
team?
yeah, Haikyuu.
Haikyuu.
Haikyuu
Great.
is so good. Jason, you would love Haikyuu.
stop.
Or Blue Lock, it's a soccer one.
Rush also brought up the anime. Did you see the one where some dude turns into a fucking vending machine?
No, we're not doing that one. We're not doing
No,
that
but the sports ones are really good. Like, I think that there's actually a lot to learn
Dude,
from them.
Haikyuu, you're watching and you're fucking getting fired up.
They're
like
doing
you're
real
playing
plays,
a
too.
match of Counter-Strike, Jason. You can't fucking believe it.
We should make a Counter-Strike anime next season of Pro League.
That would be
Well,
sick.
probably next year because it's going to require a bigger budget.
Yeah, or we'll see what country we're in next year. Who knows where we're going.
But I think also, I mean, it is a good point. Like at the time when you're playing them, like they are creating the meta. Like at the time, it's something you've never seen before. Like for example,
What, the
you know-
Japanese with anime?
yeah, with Astralis, for example, you realize like everything it happens for a reason. You know, like the ramp guy doesn't like smoke until the smokes fall outside. Like that was revolutionary at the time. That was like because every ramp player would just come
Yeah.
out and chug a smoke, right? Because that's what everyone was doing. No one was like giving it any thought. But then you're like, why do I really need to do this until I feel pressured? Or the smokes, why do you throw it then? Well, because that's the timing. If you want to just throw them outside and fake and come ramp, that's when you do it. So that's when you block it. And that was like ruining so many people's T sides because they get, how do they always block at the right time? And then you figure it out and so on. But I think also a lot of it has to do with confidence, you know, like I remember in 2019, we we played you guys in Miami in the final, and Rain had one of his games, and we beat Liquid 2-0 in the final. And then the next time we played them was at this Blast LA final, which was just 3 or 4 months later. It was the last event of the season, right? And Miami was kind of early in the beginning, and they just wrecked us. It was a completely different team, right? Like they played a lot different, and the fact that was the thing that were different was, we play Inferno and they have banana control and mid control at like 125. The players are just way more aggressive in taking control because they have a lot more confidence. And, like they're taking a lot more space, which is then prompting you to, like use your utility or do something as well. So then when it's 30 seconds left, you don't have anything anymore. And they have the control as well. You don't have information and you're in a much worse situation, right? So, and it was the same for us. We came to Miami from Starlight where we didn't even make the playoffs. Right, and then you get a couple of good wins, and all of a sudden the whole mood shifts within the team, aggressive. And you have the confidence, and you're like, oh, this is all actually working. We now remember how it is to be sick, and it's great.
Yanko just reminded me that I used to be a professional Counter-Strike player. I'm just looking at the last time I played against you guys, which would have been EliGE 2016.
Dren's in the lineup, Hiko's in the lineup, Kusta's there.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Talk to me about Kusta, man. Tell me about Kusta.
What do you want to know?
Why did he fail, man?
I think that he wasn't ready to be a professional CS player yet.
Yeah.
You put too much pressure on him, Jason.
Yeah, Jason,
Whoa. It wasn't me. That was
he
Simple.
was your little prodigy.
Simple fucking wrecked him from day one.
You fucked up his career, Jason.
Simple annihilated that dude.
Yeah, I think that his mental kind of got destroyed really early on. And after that, it just didn't really recover.
Yeah.
Is what I would say.
Yeah.
What's he doing now?
I don't know.
No, rest in peace.
Not even Valorant?
He might have flirted with it a little bit.
I think he played a little bit, but not. I don't know what he does now.
I think he popped up on like a tier 2 NA team for a while recently in the past.
You're bang
couple
on
years.
though, John. Like, look at this right here. This is a game where Renegades beat Liquid and Simple and Kusta were in the roster. So fucking Sasha be losing his shit at this type of a loss. I'm bottom fragging, of course, but fucking Kusta really bottom.
Still did better than Kusta.
And Simple actually. So don't forget about
That's all you need to know. What about your Grand Slam run? What coalesced at that perfect moment to make you guys just speed run a fucking Grand Slam? Because that record's never going to be broken.
Never.
Yeah,
I actually
they
don't
changed
even,
the rules.
I don't even think it's physically possible now. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were like, we can't be giving up $1 million, this frequently.
I mean, it was just a culmination of a lot of things. Like, we were the second best team for all of 2018. So it's not like it's just random. It's not like, players that
They got Jake.
weren't possible. Yeah, we got Jake, which, like I said, he kind of just like solved the puzzle of like, when are people weak and like, how can we exploit that? Kind of like a similar way of like what Merrick's was doing when he joined Liquid, or like where it's like, okay, a little like aha moment type of thing. And yeah.
Krieg meta helped.
Yeah, I mean, that helped for sure.
That everyone had the Kriegs.
Yeah, I mean, we all had it, but some people figure it out quicker than others.
Yeah. I still remember talking to you on the stage and you telling me that Krieg was going to be fucking amazing.
Yeah, it was insane. It's crazy that no one looked at it deeply enough before that, but I feel like that you could say that for a lot of
How
things.
much was it before they brought it was like 3,300?
3,300.
Yeah.
It's a Valve classic, though, isn't it? Here you go, guys. Have it cheaper. Now abuse the fuck out of it. I like that we've had these different metas, though. Like,
Same.
It
would be boring without it.
Exactly. We'd just be doing the same shit. At least we have some flair over the years.
I fucking hate it.
Yeah, I bet you did, because you had fucking Nico going, I don't
Nico
want
and Rain, two of the best AK players, just getting owned by fucking Augs and Kriegs.
They could have just used it. They could have just used it. It's more accurate. They could have been better.
You know when Nico started using it?
When it got nerfed.
When it got nerfed.
Yeah, hilarious.
Now it's it's a noob gun. I don't want to use it.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Wow.
How about we win some games? How about we win some majors?
It's like me in StarCraft. I'm playing Terran, and I'm just like, dude, if I just played Protoss, I would just be a champion.
Yeah.
I should have just played Protoss.
Yeah.
When did you start playing CS after?
I mean, I played CS my whole life, but when I played it like serious, trying to be good at it, I was like 13, I think. 13 or 14.
Okay. Did you find like the StarCraft skill set translated to Counter-Strike in any way? Like the way you think about?
Just thinking about the game,
Yeah.
It's just like how to be efficient.
Yeah.
Because back then everyone was just like grinding hard. They're like, yeah, you got to DM for 3-4 hours a day. And I still never will subscribe to that. I don't think that you need to play like 12 hours a day. I think if you're just smart with like 8 to 10, you'll be fine. Okay, that's not too much of a difference.
You don't need 12.
Okay, 8 and 12. It's a big difference between 8 and 12.
It is a big difference. Like
it's a work day versus overtime. Yeah.
Yeah, like you can be really smart with like your time, and like StarCraft, I think was really helpful with that, because if you sucked in StarCraft, it's kind of your fault.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite teammate you played with?
I'd probably say Nitro. I mean, I played with him the longest, but I mean, he was obviously, there's a good reason why we played together for so long. Yeah. He was just such like a really good teammate, captain, just did whatever was possible, like whatever was needed, he would do, and he would do it like as to the best of his ability, like every time.
What do you think about this sicko that was just on screen, Donk? I think it's Dontix right now, but what do you think? He's a bit of a monster, isn't he? Yeah, he's insane. Like, you can tell that he's just really smart and, like, active, like, with his comms, because his rotates, like, I did, like, a video, like, reviewing him. Katowice, right? Yeah, and you could just see, like, how on point he was with his reads, because he's always in the right place at the right time, and it made it so easy for Spirit. Like, I don't know if it's exactly their system, but obviously their system must be pretty damn good if they're making it that easy for him to just come in and just own everybody. So hats off to them. They played really, really well. But I've actually, I've worked with like aim coaches and stuff, and I'm like, yo, can you like analyze him versus me? Like, what's the difference that you'd say? And like the main difference between like him and me is not even just like his aim is much better, because like our aim is actually pretty similar. It's more that he's making things way easier than me. Like his crosshair placement is just perfect, is what it is. Absolutely like perfect crosshair placement. His strafes are just amazing, and he's just always in the right place at the right time. And that's when I've kind of like more focused on like focusing on visualization of like how I want to peak, and like exactly how I think the other guy's going to peak. And I could be wrong, but Donk is just right way more often than like other players, I'd say. What's an aim coach?
Yeah, I was gonna.
It's just these guys that are really good aimers. They're usually aim trainer mains, so they're like like if you ask them what game they played, they'll say Kovacs or Aim Labs. Like that's
so not a game.
Yeah. No, they're aim trainers. Okay. But they're really, really good. Like you would be impressed if you like saw like how good they can aim compared to like a CS player, like just like the average pro. Like the top one would just stomp them. Like it wouldn't even be close in terms of just raw aim. Because when you're thinking of like aim isolated from mechanics of strafing and movement and crosshair placement,
and game sense.
Yeah, game sense. Like it's completely different. But if you just see like their raw aim and you can try to like get that from them, then you can be really, really good.
That was going to be my question, is like, what do they provide you? Because like you can go, is it like grip on the mouse, posture, where things are positioned, or like if you're having an aim trainer compare.
That's what do they do?
Yeah, but like compare you and Donk, right? Like there's no way an aim trainer has the knowledge of Counter-Strike to be able to,
Well, he can like look at the mechanics and see like, okay, like how is he like moving his mouse? Like what's like his micros like? What's like his strengths? Because like you can tell someone's strengths of like how they're like moving their mouse. Because that's all like aim really is. It's like mouse control. So if you can look at that, then I think that's very helpful. But I don't. He like was stressing to me that like obviously it's not like about me becoming more like Donk. It's more about me becoming a better version of me. So like I don't want to become him because I'm me. So it was more of just like a fun like thought experiment, because like we were already like working together. Okay. I'm like, hey, what does he do that like I'm not doing? And it's like, well, it's not like he's like head and shoulders like aiming like a god. Yeah. It's more of like this like other things that like are making him like super, super good. And that's not like diminishing something. It's just like isolating and seeing like what we can work on. Yeah. But like in terms of like what did they actually do? It's mainly about like looking at like my weaknesses of like, okay, am I like consistently like over flicking or under flicking, and like what's like the best like thing that we can do to like work on that. Like how to work on like tension management, for example. So like you're talking about like the posture stuff. Like, so for example, if you are clearing a site with like maximum tension, so you are death gripped on your mouse and you're just like you're flicking like every single spot. If someone actually peeks you, there's no more tension to give. Like you can't give more tension to your mouse like when someone's peeking you, because you're already at the max while you're clearing angles. So like focusing on like how much tension you have while you're clearing angles, and being able to be like, okay, you're clearly over tensioning here, like in these situations, and you can like work on that specific aspect.
So the idea is to be like a little bit calm and loose as you're clearing angles, and then when someone shows up in your screen, that's when you
like
get the
just
tension
enough. Yeah.
to lock in your mouse in the right place.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's more to it. Like there's like a whole document like that he made of like analyzing my stuff and all of that. But I think that has been really helpful.
How long does it take you to like actually translate that advice into your gameplay? Because that seems like it'd have to be in your mind constantly to make it a habit.
Yeah, it would. It's the whole like conscious competence versus like that whole like the 4 pillars of learning, that type of stuff. But I'd say it takes like 90 days to like 100. Like it's just like an arbitrary amount of months. It's, like it could depend on like you for how easy something is, or if it's something that's like kind of completely new, then obviously it's going to take longer.
Yeah.
Do you deathmatch much?
I have been a little bit more in like the past couple of weeks just to like work on like my crosshair placement, because I mean there is like a lot of like really good tools that I do use for that on Refrag, but I also like shooting people that are also moving around in like weird ways too.
Yeah, because for me it's like it feels like one of the more inefficient ways
it definitely
to practice because it's not the sort of fights that you will get in games, right? But on the other side, it's actually players, it's not bots, they're moving, and so
I think it is pretty inefficient though. Like I don't really do it that much. Like I haven't deathmatched in a very long time, up until like the last couple, like 2 weeks literally, because I think there's just many more better tools that you can use for it. And a lot of the times people, when they're deathmatching, they're just like spawn camping and just like I'm here, I'm there,
lower and up and down. I
always hit a moment in deathmatching where I just get more frustrated than it's going to give me benefit,
it's
I'm like,
so
I'm so tired of getting killed by an op that spawns like right behind me, and I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, so then let's do this. Someone's just made level 10 on Face It, or just has like whatever elo, and they're like, oh, this game is actually fun. I feel like I'm good at this game. I want to go pro. I want to take it to the next level. Like, what would be your advice in how to improve like individually? What are the things to focus on to get better? What's the best way to do that?
Well, I'd say from like a theoretical standpoint, I would say crosshair placement is the most important thing, like bar none. Like crosshair placement and movement, I think, is going to set you apart more than anything else. Because I've seen people with like the best aim possible, and like if you don't have like crosshair placement and movement, then you're just not going to be as good. And you can look at Donk for an example of like someone that honestly might have like the best crosshair placement and movement in the game, like for sure. But I would just try to always be like questioning. Well, if you're level 10, I mean, you still have a long way to go in terms of like game sense and everything like that. So you should always be like watching POVs, working on crosshair placement and movement. So you could use that with like Refrag, or just being on the server and just like practicing your strafes and visualizing where you think the other guy is. Because if you're not having that thought process of like where is this guy going to be? How is he going to peek me? Like how far should I be strafing? Should I do a long strafe? Should I do a short strafe? Should I get close to the angle? Like you need to be breaking down the game to that level. And you can see that in any like discipline. Like you can even see like Kobe when he was like talking about like analyzing people, like their footwork and like how they're going to like be dribbling, anything like that. And that's like how it is if you want to become like the best at anything. You have to break down every little thing possible. But if you just got level 10, I would just focus on like the main pillars of just crosshair placement, movement. Of course, aim is always important, but game sense, crosshair placement, movement, I think is the most important things.
Is game sense something that you think you're better off just getting in reps, or you're better off trying to actually sit and dissect? Like we're watching POVs right now on the TV, right? Like what would you say is the best way to accelerate that process?
Well, I think the ratio should always be like higher in terms of playing, because you can only get so far by watching. You always need to be like doing as much as you can. But I think that if you're watching like a POV a day, like if I swear like people that are watching like 3 to 4 POVs or demos a day, there's just no way you're getting that much out of it. Because I can watch a POV and I can get so much out of it. Like it can take me, like if that's like a 30-minute YouTube video, I could probably take like an hour and 15 minutes. Like if there's really a lot of like good stuff in there, then I can get a lot in there. Like you can pretty much be getting, like you need to really be asking like why is he doing this? Why did he peek like that? Why did he strafe like that? Why is his cross replacement here? Like was he expecting this? Like when he dies, like what went wrong? Like what would you have done better? And you need to think about like what you would be thinking as well.
But do you think a lot of players consciously think about that, or do you think you're like a bit of an outlier in that regard?
I think if you want to be efficient and not take 10,000 hours to get to like a decent level, I think that you can speed up the process.
But like this is one of the things that I remember. We'd do like post-game interviews, or I'd go to events and I'd talk to players, and I'd even just like try and talk about the format, right?
Yeah.
Some players didn't even know what fucking format they were playing in, for example, right? Which obviously that's not what you need to do. You need to go in the server and win the set amount of rounds. But
yeah,
I think there's like less players. There's definitely very few players who talk about the game you do, like the way you do,
or break it down the same way.
Yeah,
but so, a lot of them do it subconsciously.
Yes,
yeah, they're doing it subconsciously. Yeah,
but that's exactly what I mean. Like for them, it's just I just do it. Like they're not. Like, there's no system to it. It's
kind of like the personality thing that I was talking about before, where some people just will think about it differently and they'll just absorb it differently. But I feel like if you actually like prodded for it, and maybe it's going back to the IGL stuff that you were talking about before. Like if you become an IGL, you have to teach, right? And to be able to teach, you need to be able to break things down and understand from a higher level. So like if a player is like really good individually and they usually don't watch stuff, but they just can absorb it like really well, then they understand this stuff. They just don't know how to teach it and like explain it well.
And for example, that was a little bit of a problem for Nico, even though that was more my department, like teach, for example, working with Brokey early on. But it's like for him, he would get frustrated sometimes when he was like early on doing stuff with Yop, and it's like, yeah, you could just do this and this. I'm like, yes, but bro, you're Nico, like this because you played that 1,000 times, like played so long. Like for you, this is just instinct. For him, like he needs to get to that point. So you need to sort of, if you are going to talk to him, you need to like kind of explain it to him and say why, so he could then translate that to other scenarios, other situations. That's sometimes the curse of great players, is like things come easy for them, right? Like, and not everyone is as
this and this is probably broken down into like 7 parts.
Simple would be a similar example and whatnot, but
I mean, you don't have to like think about it like as intricately, but I think if you want to speed up the process, that's what I always think. Cause
I think it's a great thing, because otherwise
I think it's awesome. Absolutely,
it's fucking great.
I wish there was more people were like thinking about it that way. But I'm sure what you said is also true when a player dies and then you think about why it happened. Like I'm sure it's even for you when you play like pugs with Justin, and then you see, and it's like you see like when you're dead and you watch them play, like everything makes sense that they're doing. Like nothing is sort of random or by accident, even though it's a pug and it's not like a serious game or anything. It's still like, and then when they die, sure, sometimes it's like expected and the guy just out-tamed you or whatever. Sometimes it's the best ones are when someone just does something crazy and then they die, and then you can
then they get raged.
Then they get raged.
We've been going for almost 2 hours.
Yeah, we have rehearsal.
I don't want to keep you all day.
Yeah.
But I want to get in a couple more quick ones if I could.
Sure.
Dust 2 being back in the pool, right? I don't want to ask the classic question of do you love it or do you hate it, right? Because everyone's got their own opinion on it. But have you spent much time like thinking about the map returning and what it means for you?
Not really, not yet. Because
after this event,
after this event is going to be like the focus for that. But I just wish that they picked another map to remove instead of Overpass. It's like, really, Vertigo's going to survive another map will change?
Most played map, though, of Pro League so far.
That's just because everyone's just abusing.
Yes.
Everyone's just abusing the teams that suck at it.
Yes.
The amount of times
no one likes to play it.
Yep.
It limits really good players.
It's completely about just who is weak on the map at the time and who's strong at a map at the time.
Okay.
In my opinion.
What are your thoughts on Inferno? You a hater? You a new Inferno hater?
I think Inferno sucks still, but it feels happier. I like that it's happier. And the one thing that
it feels happier.
Yeah, because there's sun. There's sun at the bottom of mid and top mid now. But one of the things that really sucked about Inferno is you couldn't flash long at all. Like the only ways that you could flash long is if you like were in like mid and like you had to be super exposed to actually flash.
Yeah.
So like there was a really like OP way that you could play at long, where it's just really hard. So I'm happy that they at least brought that back, but I don't know. I still think it sucks.
It's like old Inferno in my mind, back when I was playing, where
with the pillars.
Yeah, to take control of brackets, you had to be in boiler to throw like
exactly
right. Which the meta evolved so much since then because the map changed significantly.
Yeah.
And I think the way it played before was much more dynamic because of what was available. And by them taking away, by removing skyboxes, you removed a lot of the bounce off nades to get down porch side and everything to help clear that out. And now it's much tighter and you can be exploited more. So I think it still needs some changes. But I
Yeah.
think the reason Dust 2's come back in is because nothing else was ready. That's what I think. I think they didn't have anything else that was ready yet.
Yeah.
Like, they were not. They need to freshen up the map pool.
Do you feel like the map pool is a little too puggy with the removal of overpass after this event? I forget which player I heard kind of say like they're taking out like the tactical maps.
From FlyQuest.
FlyQuest.
Was the puggy map pool.
They said.
Nah, I don't subscribe to that stuff.
Okay.
Dust 2's got intricacies for sure.
Do you think Dust
Yeah.
2 is going to play pretty much the same way as it did towards the end of its run and go?
I think so. I think it'll like the one thing that I didn't like about like it being Dust 2 also is like the level of teams at the end of like Dust 2's life were really high. Like I feel like the strats would probably be very similar. I remember I was feeling at the time that like the map just felt very stale.
It was just take long control a lot
Yeah.
of the time, right? Na'Vi had really butchered that. Well, not butchered that. They'd beaten that into the meta.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, I hope that it's gonna feel a little bit different. Maybe the skybox stuff is gonna be really helpful and like being able to nuke smokes, but I don't know.
I think nuking the smokes will play a good part because you talk about long control, right? Well, to cross long. Okay, now it's one
You
smoke.
only need one smoke. Yeah.
Yeah.
But still,
But
like
B,
that's,
you can do doors and window utility from outside, like basically T-spawn.
But did you see? I saw today from Nard. You can smoke from CT spawn. You can smoke entrance to tunnels
I saw that.
for the T's, right? So that maybe opens up some more
I think
aggressive
there'll be
plays
more
for-
CT aggression. There has to be.
That was already coming in at
And I
the
was
end of
going
the
to
game.
say, just because the map is a little bit, it doesn't necessarily make it bad, right? I mean, you can also say for Anubis, you don't have a lot of options for CT,
Yep.
right? But it's still...
I think with the current thinking and people being more proactive on CT sides in general, it'll help Dust 2 a lot because teams will try and take more space or at least posture for space and then drop back into the standard setups we're used to. Like one CT helping the mid to B guy, one B guy, AWP, car or whatever. That'll be still standard, but probably not out the gate. I reckon we'll see more jarring moves early or teams still going for lockdown long, but definitely harassing through
And
lower.
There's also the thing where playoff Counter-Strike is different to, other Counter-Strike. So you will see a lot more fights maybe. But when it comes to playoffs, how many guys are going to be willing to, push up mid the CT and smoke suicide and, run up? We'll see. So, a lot of times it's going to be 2-3, right? Take long control, op, plays car, and the rotator goes somewhere and you can get cat. And then, you need to have like good executes or have something planned. So I don't know. I think just Dust 2 is a staple of Counter-Strike. And sure, maybe you were hoping like they cosmetically change it, or maybe they change the doors again, but there's not really that much you can or even should change about Dust 2. It just is what it is.
It is Dust 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, 2 hours on the nose right now. John, anything you want to say?
No, nothing specific.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah,
for coming.
No,
Yeah,
thanks
it's
for
good.
coming on. Yeah, it's
Everyone
great.
happy?
Everyone's happy.
Everyone
Yeah.
good?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to rehearsal and do all that kind of fun stuff. Goodbye,
See ya.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.